And once again, a huge shout out to our supporters over at patreon.com/87.8SurvivorFM, our $10 supporters, Dick Donovan, Kenny Baker, Big Dog, and Shane Murphy, our three $25 supporters, Jake Snow, Red Freedom, and Melbourne, and our two YouTube members, Kenny Baker once again, and Nathan Martin. Thank you so much for your support, and we hope you all enjoy the show. 3, 2, 1. And welcome to episode 76 of the DayZ podcast. We are joined by that Chad lad with the hoodie on, looking like a badass in the fucking ghettos of Ireland. How you doing there, Marks?
I'm doing good. I'm cold, so that's why I have my hood up. I'm a bit chilly.
You're cold, mate, and it's the first month of autumn, and I'm already rocking the board shorts and out of the tracky jacks.
The t-shirts.
I've gotten rid of the robe.
Yeah.
But no. So it's starting to warm up again here in Australia. I've got to work out how to get this Elgato mic to work with noise suppression because I'll be having an aircon running soon in the morning for here on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Lad, how you doing, buddy?
Yep, not doing too bad at all. Finally coming out of self-isolation, being out, being busy, doing very, very nice.
Nice, mate. Good to see. Growing a bit of a beard there, mate. The wild woolly man of self-isolation, running around naked in your own house and...
No, not to that extent. Not to that extent. But yes.
You're missing out, mate. You're missing out. Running around your own house naked is awesome, especially when you've got a son. It traumatizes him for the rest of his fucking life. Actually, do you want to know something? This is potentially going a bit too far, but as some of you may know, I have some African DNA in me. And a joke in this house is if anyone has ever seen the movie White Chicks, Daemonforge, have you seen the movie White Chicks?
Ages ago.
Yep, with Terry Crews. Now, what is the name that one of the main guys, the Wayland brothers, calls him at one point in there? Schwarzenegger. Remember that?
Oh my god!
And the scene is when I believe that one of them is laying on the beach sunbaking, and he walks up wearing nothing but dick togs. And what happened to the sun? Oh my God, it's Schwarzenegger or something along those lines. I made my son take a photo of me recreating that in nothing but underwear.
Oh no.
So I could put it on a card for my missus from your Schwarzenegger. So yeah. He is. I love bringing it up because he is mentally scarred for life now because of that one thing that I made him do. So, yes, parents are fucking horrible people. We love to traumatize our children. But the man of the hour finally doing a face reveal, Mr. One and Only Daemonforge. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Not too bad at all, mate. Not too bad at all. It is good to finally get you on the show, mate. We showcased that amazing raid mod. Not a lot of people, so I won't say not a lot of people, some people weren't fans of it, but, you know, I think it's a fucking awesome mod, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I know not everyone will be happy with the idea. I think it's very niche. That's the whole point of DayZ, in my opinion, though. If one person doesn't like something, there's so much variety out there, right?
Yep.
There's always the joke that there's probably more servers than there are players, but at least we have tons of selections of what, you pretty much play any style you want. And, everyone has something for themselves.
Yes, exactly, mate. Exactly. And regardless, that's one thing I kind of pride us. We all make fun, Marks has got his running joke with the console crowd. He's going to say it's not a joke. I knew you were probably thinking that then.
Very real situation.
But we can all still appreciate that the way that we play is not the only way to play DayZ. That's part of the beauty of it. It's a game that can be played in a multitude of ways, isn't it, lad?
Oh god, yes. I mean, that's the good thing about DayZ is that it's always been about the interaction, and you can have so many different kinds of interactions with depending on the different kind of gameplay you have. It's just good. It's just really, really cool.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, I'm
also
just,
keeps it interesting, in my opinion. That's, I can go
for
play
sure.
survival for a few weeks, get bored of that, and then I'll just jump on some PvP servers and kill some people, and then, get bored of that and switch to something else. And there's always something to try and something new to explore and do differently with everything.
Yeah.
For sure, and that again, that's the beauty of it. There's so many different things you can do. Now, you gave us a little bio, so I'm going to read through that now. I am Daemonforge. I am 30 years old, living in Toronto, Canada, with my wife and dog. What sort of dog you got?
It's a mix. It's an American Eskimo mixed with a Jack Russell.
So it's a smaller dog?
Yeah, it's smaller. He's a smaller dog, but with the Jack Russell in him, he's very much
thinks he's a big dog.
Outdoor, yeah, kind of.
Yep. You've been playing DayZ since Arma 2 mod. You have left and come back to DayZ more times than I can count, as it's always been a go-to game for me and my friends, having some of my fondest gaming moments with DayZ. I am relatively newer to the modding side of DayZ, as I've only been modding since May 2020, with my first mod being a reduced car damage mod, all because I wanted something so your car wouldn't break from a small bump or some lag, but not just make every car indestructible. After I made Heroes and Bandits, as I loved humanity systems in DayZ mod, and the current one on the workshop at the time was lacking, and I've been doing random projects that interest me ever since. I now have 12 open source mods that I have on the workshop. I also help support the Shana mods and have a few other mods. My core personal belief in making mods open source so others can not only learn from them, but also contribute and build on top of them, with the ultimate goal of expanding the DayZ community as a whole. So much to take in there, but it was ironic. The day I read your bio, I was running around on experimental, and I had a Saka going, and every fucking time I reversed that thing, I would bump into something and it would ruin the spark plug. And I was sitting there going, please, for the love of God, DayZ, fix the cars. I've been vocal a bit saying cars aren't that bad, and what's everyone going on about? And I finally went and played vanilla, being experimental version, and I was literally reversing at the slowest speed, and the spark plug ruined twice in a row on me. Luckily, I had spares, being the loot whore that I am. I picked up everything, but what a great mod to make, mate. Your first mod was so the cars wouldn't break from a small bump or some lag.
Yeah, the basic mentality of the mod, again, it was super simple, I think one file pretty much, and the idea was if you were driving under a certain speed, it would stop damage. So there were mods that already did that, but I also added an extra part where the damage would be reduced by 50% or so as well on top of that, right? So if you crash going 50 kilometers an hour, it was kind of more like crashing at 30 kilometers an hour. And if you crash at 10 kilometers an hour, your car was pretty much indestructible because you're going so slow. And it was just kind of a way to kind of mitigate some of the, a lot of the servers, I didn't really like the fact that, you could go 100 kilometers an hour, bounce off a tree and bounce off something else, fly into the sky, land back down perfectly fine, and, keep going, right? I wanted something more in the middle ground, right? I wanted, some safety. It is a video game. I don't expect my car to break every 3 seconds, and then I also wanted something that was more realistic and not super OP. So I ended up creating that for my own server at the time, trying it out. And I know a couple other servers ended up downloading the mod as well. And, it just grew from there.
Now, you said that you are new to the modding scene, and this is one that I'll be interested to hear from on you as well, lad, because you're still relatively new to modding as well, aren't you, mate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, reasonably so compared to other people in the community.
So where did you start from? How did you get your start? What's your background? Did you have an IT background, or were you like a labourer who just suddenly said, fuck it, I'm going to learn about coding?
So I went to school for computer programming for 2.5 years. Dropped out of that to switch to like the more infrastructure IT aspects of it, just because I had a job at the time and was enjoying that more than programming.
Yep.
And I kind of stepped away from programming for a few years, doing just infrastructure, just doing that. And I've done, and then ever since I've done like little side projects for like, little side businesses and things like that. Brother-in-law's business, set up a little website, do some custom coding for some stuff there. So I've already knew, like I've took 2.5 years of programming, so I know a lot of it. but it had been like, I guess like 7, 8 years ago, kind of at the point. Actually, maybe even longer than that now. Actually, shit, too old. But yeah, so I already kind of had a foundation of knowledge, and I was like, you know what, this can't be too hard, and that's kind of why I even tried in the first place. I don't think I would have even tried to dabble in making a mod if I didn't already have the background, and I was just like, you know, it can't be that hard. And I found some open source mods from Sinhova Scannas, the Scanna mods. So I like kind of just looked at those, see how they worked, and was like, you know what, this isn't too bad, and I just kind of took a stab at it, and I was able to get it working, and and just moved on from there. My first methods of modding were very I don't know what the word for it is, but it wasn't the best.
Rudimentary.
I know. Not even rudimentary, just unique, I guess. Lots of the ways I approached things and did things were kind of from like the languages I had learned and the stuff that I've actually kind of remembered from programming like years and years ago. So getting back into the swing of things kind of helped. I feel like I've grown a lot, and my newer mods are a lot better and a lot better coded and a lot better structured than they used to be. But yeah, it was an experience all alone because DayZ was kind of unique in the coding language and as well from anything I was used to. Like I had done a lot of the like higher level stuff in school, even assembly and stuff like that. Anyone who knows programming will understand assembly is essentially what code is compiled to generally, and it's a very high level language to kind of work with, or low level language. I always get those two reversed right now, but and I kind of went forward from there, and it was just unique to kind of learn DayZ and see how it worked. And it was good. It was fun. I enjoy it, and I had a lot of fun going back to why I even got into computer programming in the first place, with school and stuff. So I had a lot of fun kind of just doing it and kind of just my free time programming and making mods. So it's been fun.
Awesome, mate. That's awesome. Just I don't know about you, Marks, but I'm always in awe of modders. I look at that code shit, mate, and I had enough trouble understanding XML and fucking JSONs, and that was about the limit of my fucking ability. And even then, it was more copy pasta than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's incredible. I done an Internet of Things course, college course, for about a year, and then I dropped out because I just found it too difficult and hard to do. And so, I give credit to you modders that can understand this stuff and make stuff work, because I could never just wrap my head around it. It was like looking at a foreign language.
they're a special breed modders.
Yeah.
Computer programming is kind of its own language, in my opinion. There was always a joke. I think I don't remember which one, but one of the dating sites you could actually put like C++ as a language that you spoke, and it was. I always thought it was kind of funny, because
That's cool. That's really, really cool. So what are you working on at the moment? How's the raid system going?
It's very good. I actually was taking a little break from DayZ a couple weeks ago. Just kind of, I don't know. I just was just getting too much, and my real life work, kind of just been super busy these last few weeks. So as soon as I get home from work, I'm kind of just like, do I really want to do more work? So I kind of been taking a few breaks. Getting back into the swing of things this week, with DayZ's 1.14 stuff. I kind of did a brief look at it when it first popped out, and then I was like, I have to set some time aside because I need to start testing my mod. So this week I kind of got back into the things, just more of just testing everything to make sure everything works with 1.14. One of the big problems with my attention span and the fact that I've made like too many mods, in my opinion, at this point, is I need to make sure they all still work when the next update drops, right? So this week's been mostly about catching up and trying to make sure everything's going to work, make sure that there's not going to be any major bugs come 1.14. I want to make sure that 1.14 drops. If there's any updates I need to make, I'll make them beforehand, so that way they're ready to go. Or if I need to wait, depending on kind of my mentality at the time, sometimes I try to update and make it backwards compatibility. Other days I'm just like, what, I'm just gonna push the update once the update happens. Cross my fingers that I'm awake when it happens. But yeah, so that's what I've been working on this last week, kind of just getting that ready, testing out the new Linux server. I'm really excited for that. So that was on the thing for discussion today here, so I won't go too much into it yet. We'll wait until we get to it.
Well,
But
I would like to. I would like to know more about this Linux update because, I'm what I call an ITARD. It's a miracle that I can manage to turn a computer on and stream. And yet you hear people talk about Linux like it's some sort of fucking cult. And the fact that you can now do DayZ on Linux, what does that actually mean? Explain it for the plebs like myself who've got no idea what it means.
So, for the most part, for most people, it's not going to matter. To be honest, especially right now, especially with the bugs that we're seeing with it and the complexities that come with Linux, I think, and what people are kind of already used to, I think most servers, most communities aren't going to bother making the switch. The big benefit to Linux is more around. There's two major benefits. One is cost. So Linux as itself is free, right? It's a free operating system that you can operate. So a lot of server providers charge extra for Windows, right? Sometimes it's baked into the price, and it is there though. Like, you do have to pay for it, right? So you pay, I think OVH, if I remember correctly, it's like $25 extra a month for Windows. But if you're running Linux, it would be free. So you wouldn't like it wouldn't be extra. Well, it wouldn't be free, but like you wouldn't have to pay extra for that. You would come with the Linux. So you would have a cost savings. So that's one of the major reasons I think most communities would look at Linux in reality. And that's the same reason why most companies and businesses use Linux. It's free. And that's why it's got, same reason why most companies, a lot of people love the fact is Linux itself is open source as well. Again, not really relevant to the conversation in regards to stuff. No one here in the DayZ community is probably contributing to Linux. Some of them might be. There's some really smart ones out there, but it's kind of one of those monstrosities there. So it's so that's one of the biggest things. It's free. It's going to be available for cheaper. Server communities can run it. There are cheaper server providers that don't really dab in Windows because Windows requires commissions and things to be paid back to them a lot of times. So Microsoft, right? So for a lot of this stuff. So
yeah.
Again, so most of the existing kind of embedded communities already are probably not going to make the switch because it's not going to be worth it. There are benefits to Windows in regards to usability and ease of access. So if you're running a dedicated server, you're going to be able to access, it's just going to look like your computer desktop, right? You can log in, you can do everything you can do on your computer. Linux is all command line, right? There are desktop interfaces for it, but in the sense of a server, you wouldn't be running that, right? You'd be running the command line because you'd be looking for that. So that leads into the second benefit of Linux, which right now it doesn't happen with DayZ because DayZ doesn't seem to be optimized for Linux right now. But generally speaking, anything running on Linux is going to have a much higher performance availability. Windows has a lot of overhead, a lot of applications running in the background, lots of services, lots of little things to make everything tick, right? It's very overloaded. Like, I think minimum specs for like Windows servers these days are like, or not minimum, but like recommended specs are like 4-core, 8 gigs of RAM. A Linux machine can run on 1-core, 256 meg of RAM, right? A quarter of a gig of RAM. Now, ideally, you probably wouldn't be running those super slim down versions for DayZ, but there is a lot of optimization availability in regards to performance on the core operating system. So you can essentially run more. It usually will mean like most GSPs will probably switch to Linux because it will make sense. Like if you're a game service provider, you go to Linux, you save yourself money, which increases your profit margins, and you essentially offer the ability to probably run more servers per box, right? Because that extra performance that would be leaving to Windows is now going to be usable for yourself. And I think for the most of the community, switching to Linux will only be in the sense of cost savings for some of those smaller communities or some people starting out. But even then, you're going to probably want a small background in Linux or worked with Linux game servers in the past. I know some people have with Minecraft and Arc and some of those other servers. I think Rust, I'm not sure if Rust actually runs on Linux or not, but I know Arc and I know Minecraft do for sure.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of the big thing. Linux also has a lot of remote management solutions that are free and open. They have a lot more customability for firewalls and for other aspects. So there's a little bit more tweaking and customization that you can kind of do with Linux, and there's more remote management tools like web interfaces to like fully manage the server from a web browser. So those are the big benefits. And I think like it is kind of a cult following. I think that was a good way to put it. Like a lot of people who are very excited for Linux are the people who know Linux and probably either really have worked with a lot of game servers in the past and have a lot of their tricks that they've remembered, or they're in probably the IT industry, whether they're server administrators or programmers who are very used to Linux and have lots of their own custom tooling, or they just know it so well that they know how to optimize exactly what they're looking for, right? Like if DayZ was on Linux, I know I could do a lot of little things that would help manage the server. And I know moving forward, for the most part, like Philip who does the CF Cloud and Omega Manager, I know he's making Linux work with that, which is going to be a great tool for most people. So it'll make it simpler, and then you'll be able to remote manage your DayZ servers from a web browser kind of thing. There are obviously things that people need to take consideration for that around security and access and different things like that. But yeah, it's a good thing to see coming from the DayZ community. I think the biggest thing, it's more for those game service providers, in my opinion.
Yes.
That's who are going to benefit the most from the Linux version being available. Most communities aren't going to sweat the extra $25 or $15 a month or whatever it is to run Windows.
No, especially the big earners. They'll probably just look at Linux, and if they don't have anybody who understands how Linux functions, I mean, I don't. I've got no fucking clue. I tried to install Google Chrome on it once, and it didn't work, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this piece of shit. But yeah, I mean, from the sounds of it, even though I don't use Linux, it does sound a really good step forward in terms of like, you know, what you've discussed, and it'll be really, really cool to see improvements come along for that. And do you think that with, obviously, you know, you say that you can run more servers on a like Linux based server, what other kind of like benefits for a server? Is it like better performance overall kind of stuff is what you're theorizing, or like how does it work?
Well, so it's less about you get more performance of the machine. The base operating system, essentially Windows, will take, like Linux over Windows, will take less resources from you. Right? Like if you don't optimize your Windows server properly, you know, someone goes on that box and opens up Chrome tabs and it has that open sitting there on your server, that will actually impact the performance potentially. Again, there's a lot of things under the hood that will help prevent that, but especially for communities that are running, you know, let's say 5 or 6 servers on a single box, which I've seen, they're going to see a better performance with essentially running it on Linux, because they're not going to have all those extra background services running, taking resources away from DayZ. There's not really, there are some optimization things you can do with Linux. I'm not really sure how much better they are than the Windows optimization stuff that you can do. And I think there are some people who might look at it. I think you have to look at it a lot more in depth, and you have to do a lot more benchmarking and testing to truly see, because there's a lot of core differences between the operating system and the kernels and such that will essentially affect how they could run. Like right now, running DayZ on Linux, you actually get lower FPS than you do on Windows, with the same system, like the same hardware and such. And it's just due to the fact that Bohemia needs to optimize DayZ a bit more on Linux, I believe. But again, once they've done that and it gets on par with the Windows, they're going to have less, you know, you'll see the ability for server owners to be able to take more utilization out of their machines, right? Or communities to be able to afford cheaper machines and still get the same performance, or at least not the same performance. Because no matter what, if you're going to look at a Windows, for, 5950 versus, an i5 or something like that, like a discount machine, you're obviously going to have better performance on the 5950, but you'll probably get better performance than you would if you're running Linux on that i5 versus running Windows on that i5. So you can squeeze a little bit more performance out of the machine. And again, I think I said, most likely this is going to be more about the money, right? This is more about the fact that you're going to save money on that Windows license. And I think that's where, if anything, it's going to make the difference in people. I think the average person, if you don't care about that $25 extra a month or whatever it is that your provider charges you for Windows, you're probably not going to care to switch. And honestly, I would probably not recommend anyone switching at this point anyways, unless you're really like a Linux guru who loves Linux and wants to be one of the first people to get the Linux servers up and running just for the sake of Linux. I think if you're a standard server owner, if you're a standard server runner or owner, you're just going to want to stay on Windows for now until they sort the bugs out, get better benchmarking done, and people know more what they're doing. And unless you're really trying to squeeze pennies out of it right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. Like I said, I was excited to see that Linux is getting supported on DayZ now, and bugs are always going to happen. It's DayZ. Need I say more? There's always going to be bugs, but once the performance, or rather the bugs, get settled out on the Linux versions, and servers do find out or get a person who knows Linux that well, as you say, like a Linux guru or whatever, then that'll be probably as beneficial for them from the sounds of what you've been saying. But it is, like you said, it is probably better just to stick with Windows. It's familiar for a lot of people that don't really want to migrate to a new operating system that they don't really understand or know. So, but yeah, overall, it's still pretty cool. It's still pretty nice.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited. Personally, I'll probably switch my servers over to Linux just to squeeze that extra performance out. I'm running super cheap. I got these servers from So You Start, which is like OVH's like discount brand. So they don't even run Windows properly. So I've had to do some stuff that I know to get Windows working on those machines. But like
Right.
seeing those discount brands available to people that they run only Linux or whatever, because it's cheaper for the company than trying to like add Windows licensing into their platform. That will help potentially lower the cost to entry for a new DayZ server who wants to run a more dedicated server that's not just renting from a GSP and such.
Yes.
It's honestly that sort of stuff you guys were talking about. I barely understood a word that was coming out of your mouth, but I hope that has helped. Marks, did you understand much of it?
Not really. Not a lot of it.
Bottom line, Linux is cheaper, and you're not going to want to bother with it unless you're trying to save some money, and you know what you're doing essentially.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what else have you got going on, buddy?
Those are the big things right now. I just started re-looking at Raid Alarm actually today before the podcast, trying to do some more stuff, just get it a little more polished off. The Raid Alarm mod is kind of just something I've been tinkering with. The idea, and it's something. So the one mod that I've been really working on is called my Universal API mod, and Raid Alarm, MapLink, and I also have another mod, Hived Banking, which allows you to access the same bank account across multiple servers. All kind of rely on this Universal API mod. It's something I've been heavily kind of polishing and finishing. I just kind of released that full probably a month ago now, just kind of before I took my little break. And it was kind of my main project for the community, in my opinion. It was the main focus is to give access to modders. It's not really for server owner. Server owners have some stuff they have to do to make it work, but the main goal for the mod was a kind of a platform or a backend for modders to gain access to things outside of DayZ or things you can't do in DayZ. Right. So it essentially uses some parts within the modding called the REST APIs to interact with a third-party application that you have to install. It actually does install on Linux or Windows. I already kind of was preemptive with that one. And there's a couple little things in there which I haven't yet to kind of showcase or utilize that I think are really cool. So one of the big things I added in there was some AI, and not in the sense of AI like video game AI like shooters, but more like AI platforms like translation, text scanning, things like that. So like things that are more considered, like some true machine learning AI. So I want to go through and create some more mods for that eventually. One of the key ones is I want to make potentially just make this as an add-on or expand Scana's global chat mod. But look at the ability to potentially in-game live translations for players. So you could be on a server and type in your native language, and then the AI will translate that to English or to whatever language, obviously, the server owner specifies. And then potentially, if I this is the part that's kind of worked out because it's been a bit tricky to kind of get that information unless I add a setting maybe for it. which
Right.
would kind of suck for players because they would already have their language setting set. But ideally, you would set your language and it would translate that back for you as well. So, it essentially allow you to talk in your native language and see chat in your native language instead of seeing it across, all these different like languages. So people can truly talk natively and kind of have everything kind of translated back for them, so they don't have to think about it. Right. I
That's
think it'd be
fucking
kind of cool
cool.
for servers in Europe and such who have a multilingual player base, right? And I know a lot of server communities will say English only in global chat or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever language only in global chat. And I think it'd be really cool the idea that you could essentially have that translated automatically. Now it's using rudimentary free open source translation engines, so they're not the best. I was adding in availability for servers who would want to invest in something like that to be able to add in like proper translation APIs and stuff like that, so you can configure your server, your API service to do that instead of using like kind of the public free one, which isn't really the greatest. But
Right.
and then I've also added some other things like which really want to play around with some more.
Mhm.
Could be very interesting. I've got a lot of false positives with it, but essentially it's a toxicity checker. So it takes the text that the person types in and checks to see how toxic it is, right? Toxicity. So, how, vile, vulgar is it? How bad is it? And then it could potentially do something in the code. So, filter that text out, or maybe even allow players to select their own setting and say, I don't want to see vulgar chat, right? And then that would just remove all the vulgar chat from there. That's something I also want to include in the chat, and that was through the things I was kind of really diving into more recently, trying to get those things kind of ready on the back end. And I've actually
Right.
published that all out. So if someone wants to beat me to it, any modders in the chat who want to beat me to it, feel free to contact me. You can work on it because I don't have as much time as I would like sometimes. And then the other side of it too is I've integrated to what's called the Microsoft Q&A Maker platform, which is a little bit more heavy work for server owners to set up, but it would allow you to have essentially
Say it again. A
in-game
Microsoft what?
responses.
Sorry.
It's Microsoft's Q&A Maker. So
Yep.
the whole point of it is it's AI trained Q&A question that's essentially allowing you to ask this question in chat and have the AI respond. Right, so you can go in chat and be like, okay, what's the server's Discord? And instead of waiting for some player to respond, the AI reads that, figures out that it was a question for it, and then essentially responds for you, right? And sends you a message saying, oh, the Discord's this, right? Or sends a, you could say, how do you do this in game? Like, how do I claim a car? How do I protect my car from being stolen? And, oh, you need to get a key. The keys are gone this way. Right? Or how do I raid bases on this server? And they can essentially customize those answers themselves, right?
So what? You
they can
type it in
have,
chat in the game.
yeah. So I had a demo a long time ago. So I did this ages ago. And I kind of did it. It's actually part of my mod already. But I haven't really published it because I haven't put the instructions on how to actually set it up. See if I can find the demo I did for it.
So in game,
videos.
in global
Yes.
chat, you type it in global chat, and the answer will come up in game.
Yeah. Here. Where are you, buddy? I don't know where to share this properly, but
I know some servers that if you just share your screen, I know some servers won't be interested in it because it'll break immersion and that. But for your more just PvP base rating style servers, that's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, here I can share my screen.
Is that something that you're planning for the hideout to use? Because I know that
we actually did set it up for the hideout for a while ago, and we just didn't fully finish setting it up. We set it up; it was working for a little while, but then we ended up not finishing it all. Like they essentially the Bill's the owner. He ended up letting the backend service expire for it, so it kind of didn't go. So this is the demo here. So maybe if I full screen this. Make sure it's in. Yeah. So pretty much you just type in chat something like, whatever you want to say, and it will respond. And it uses AI. So it's not like keywords. You see here, I even misspelled Discord up here. Didn't spell it fully out. And you can kind of ask questions, and it kind of uses essentially AI to give you your answers, right?
Wow.
and I did this, I don't know, months and months ago, and I kind of was like, I thought it was kind of cool. And I released it. And it's not something that's actually part of my Universal API mod natively right now. I kind of want to separate it out, though. I just feel like it should be partly its own mod, also provide people with more things, right?
Yeah.
So you can just ask questions and essentially answers for you, right? And I had a couple different ways to kind of do it. So by default right now, as long as the person puts a question mark at the end of their question, it will answer it. And because it uses an API essentially in the background, it supports multi languages. So it's not English only. If anyone wants to do this on the server, it uses essentially QAMaker.ai. You need to set it up, and it's actually relatively easy on this end of things.
Okay.
But it's pretty much you go in and you essentially literally give it the questions and the answers, and then train it. So you pretty much just ask random questions that might be similar to what you're looking for, and it responds, right? So I think it supports over 50 languages. It can do active learning through questions. So more people who ask questions, you can track those questions and then say, oh, this question wasn't answered properly, so here's the real question. And I added a feature to log those questions. So as a server owner, you could log all the questions that didn't get answered and then review them and be like, oh, here's a ton of questions that people asked that didn't make sense. Obviously, it's AI, so it's not 100% accurate. It's like talking to those bots on websites, right? So you have to think about
It's
that.
better
So
than
sometimes
fucking
you might
nothing,
ask,
though. It's better. It's
so
better than
sometimes you might,
nothing. That's awesome.
yeah. And that's what this is meant for. This is literally was meant and built for companies that want to have those, bots on your website to ask questions for. And I thought, I was actually looking at it for work, and we were looking to integrate that into some of our stuff professionally, right? Through some of the developers that work for me. And I was like, that'd be kind of fun for DayZ because,
Okay,
most people,
okay. Got
especially,
to stop you there. Got to stop you there. Spud has just said something in chat that is fucking awesome. It would be cool if it was made RP-ish. Say, for instance, you had a radio and it was a person on the radio.
yeah, so it'd be kind of you couldn't really do it on the radio. It'd have to be in text chat. I don't have the ability to. DayZ doesn't have the ability to resurface voice. You can't take audio.
Yeah, no,
and you can't
not
return
audio, but basically like what Survivor Missions is, where it's a text chat pop up that you just add a person's name to it. You make a mythical person who's like the wise old sage man of the server.
Actually, I already have it configured so you could change the name from bot to actual like some player, like a person's name if you want. I can't remember what I named. I think I named mine like Steve on my own server when I was playing around with it. So Steve would respond to you, right?
Yep.
It wouldn't be too hard to add the ability to force the player to have a radio to use it, or even force the user to be on a certain channel. It would actually probably be very useful for people who don't want to send messages there that they don't mean to send. So you could ask a question into the radio, put the radio on a certain channel, type it in. It wouldn't be hard at all. Like I said, I want to split this out into its own mod. Right now, it's part of my Universal API mod, and it's kind of a hidden feature of it because my main focus of the Universal API mod wasn't this feature. It was for a lot of the other things that are built into it. Actually, I'm just gonna stop streaming for a second here. So if I switch it out to my own mod, a separate mod for sure, I think that would be something very likely for me to add into it. Maybe I'll see if I can work on that in the next couple of weeks or months even. I'll say weeks because I don't want to say months. That sounds so long away.
Weeks, not months. Weeks, not months.
Essentially split it out to its own mod. Because right now, if you really wanted to use this and you don't care about like that type of feature or anything like that, you can go install my Universal API mod, and then you go to that QAMaker.ai website, create an account, and then feel free to contact me. Maybe I'll get some instructions up after the podcast just so people have it. But it's actually something I released that demo video back in September of 2020. So I've had this feature out in my mod for over a year now, or a year now. It's September again. But I didn't really make instructions on how to use it, so it's kind of in the main point. And my big concern was there are limitations for the free version of Q&A Maker. So Q&A Maker is a paid service, but they have a free tier. And I'd have to look up the exact pricing for it. It's on the website here. So the free gives you a maximum of 50,000 questions per month, and 100 questions per minute. So you have essentially a limitation on how many people can ask questions at a certain time. So larger communities could see issues if they have, especially if they have a free for all and just all chats. It starts trying to analyze every question that everyone asks. I can see how that could, you could reach your limit pretty quickly in chats that go pretty quick. Especially because some people are just asking,
Not months,
where's
we're talking
fighting
weeks.
at, and that's not really a question the AI should respond to, right? And that's the thing. So after that, I think it's only like $10 a month, so it's not even really expensive, anyways.
That's,
If you did want to pay for it,
that's not bad
um,
at all, really,
I
when you
think there's
think
some
about it.
other
That's
minor costs that are in the pennies per hour or pennies per
Mhm.
like thing. Because it runs on Microsoft's Azure platform in the background, so there's a bunch of things. But I'm just seeing here where it says $10 for unlimited managed documents with a limit of 100 transactions per minute, which is 100 questions per minute. So, um, I think even the biggest communities would have a problem trying to reach 100 questions per minute, right?
Yeah.
Because again, this would also be used centralized. So if you did have multiple servers, it would all go back to the same API if you set it up that way. So there's that side of it. So um, if you had like 7 servers running with all full pop, I could see getting to 100 questions a minute, but I think you'd be stretching it, right? And if you did add a
Mm.
filter, so you had to be on a radio on a certain channel, that could help reduce your potential footprint for the number of questions you're receiving. Um, and that was one thing I did. Again, like I said, I did this a year ago. I set this up. I put a demo out. I set it up on my own server. I think I set it up for the Hideout. And I teased it to other communities. I think somebody else set it up. I don't remember who it was. But I said the Hideout, they set up the paid version because they wanted just in case at the time. This was the time when the Hideout was running, I think, like 14 servers, all pretty much full
Yes.
pop, right? They had like 4 of their servers were in the top 10 on Battlemetrics and stuff like that. So they were super big. So they wanted to pay for it. And then um, when you first set up Azure, actually you get free credits. So he just used the free credits at first, and he never put his credit card in, and essentially it expired. So the system, it got deactivated, and they never reset it back up. And it's the biggest thing, obviously, for this is just making sure you have all your questions and answers. That's the biggest thing, is you got to go through and think of all the questions and answers. And I think over time you can get a more robust system, because as you get more questions in, more questions that people are asking that aren't getting answered, you kind of just fill those ones in and keep filling them in.
Mhm.
Right. But that's an old project. And the other side of Universal API, the one that I'm more excited for these days, and something that I'm testing with Raid Alarm, is Discord integration. So one of the things I'm trying to
Yes.
provide to modders is the ability to do things on Discord.
Mhm.
So the feature list for Discord right now, I might just have to look it up so I don't put something out there that I don't. Let's see.
Yeah.
Where's the Discord reference? So I've got functions to like get the user's roles. So what roles the user has in Discord based on their Steam ID, so in-game GUIDs, you can add and remove roles, and that was added originally. I created this for Heroes and Bandits because one of the biggest feature requests people wanted it was Discord, right? They want to, if you
Yeah.
become a hero in game, give them a hero role, right? If they become a bandit, give them the bandit role, etc., right?
Makes sense.
And remove
Yeah.
those roles. So I wanted those features available for Heroes and Bandits because I'm currently rewriting Heroes and Bandits, and I want to include this type of functionality.
That's
So I
such a
added
good
it to the
functionality for helping build a community. Now, I know sometimes Discord can go quite toxic, especially around faction and raiding-based servers, but a well-run Discord helps build a really strong community. And little functions like that, if it's automated, because we all know how much time every one of us here has been involved in servers. We all know how much time they become a time and not just a money, but a time sink. You can pour so much time into it. And if you can automate a lot of those features, that's, like Luke said in chat, that is so cool. That is so cool what you're doing, mate.
Yeah, and the couple features that got asked for, because I guess back in the day, someone was talking about a feature. I'm not really sure how well this would work with Discord because of the way everything works, but like proximities with TeamSpeaks and stuff like that. So I have the ability to you can move users around in Discord based on the voice channels through game. Like this is all for modders. So don't think as a server owner you just be able to plug this in and do stuff for this. You probably will need to look at getting a modder to help kind of get some of this in place. And I've also added features like, setting people's nicknames. So maybe you're a community that does RP and you want everyone's Discord name to match their in-game name. There could be ways to do that through it. Even create channels, delete channels, look at messages in Discord, send messages to Discord through the bot, AI through the bot. So it's not just a lot of people do Discord messages already, but it's all webhooks, right? You have to go on, you create a webhook, you put that webhook into the game, and it sends a message to that channel based on that webhook. This is actually would allow you to be more dynamic. You could have it create a channel and then send messages to that channel, and then retrieve those messages from the channel. And there's other little things like checking to make sure the person is part of your Discord. So maybe, for whitelisting, you want to just automate people forcing them to join your Discord. Again, I'm not sure how most communities would like that. I think a lot of communities would want to make it optional because they don't want to deter players from their communities. But there could be some RP servers that may want you to join their Discord, agree to their rules and all that stuff before they can continue on playing on the server. So that's something I took into consideration for this, and that is something that you could do. Again, this is something a modder would have to do. A modder would have to go in and write the code to kind of maintain all this. A while back, I even helped the Trump's Wall servers kind of try to automate their whitelisting process with when they were getting attacked with Fonzie and that whole situation. So I created a little mod for them, and they utilized Daemonforge API and essentially automated the whitelisting process, right? So, they were trying to whitelist everyone to get on the server, so they were all whitelisted. So essentially the mod kicked in and was able to kind of automate that whitelisting process for them, and essentially ensure that everyone who's joined the servers were whitelisted through, and essentially providing instructions right into the Discord and connecting their Discord straight to their Steam IDs preemptively and all that stuff. As a way to kind of help automate the process and help hopefully lower the barrier to entry, right? Because one of the problems with whitelisted servers is people just don't join them, right?
Yeah.
If it's a whitelisted server, even if it's as simple as just joining a Discord and creating a ticket to get whitelisted, people just don't want to do that, right? They don't want to go through that hassle, right? And
I saw something recently about if it's anything more than like one or two steps involved in a registration process, a massive percentage of people just say, fuck it, it's too hard. So, yeah, you're on the money with that.
Yeah, in my process is actually 2 steps. It opens a link, you click connect, and then you click authorize because Discord needs to authorize the connection. And that's it, right? You just click connect and authorize. And from the player's point of view, I make everything super secure, so server owners can abuse the system. That's one of my key aspects there. I make sure everything is done to the same standard BI tries to follow with regards to what's being saved about players, GUIDs, not Steam IDs, things like that. And when you're linking your Discord, all I really take, I take your username in Discord, whatever your username is, and I take your Discord ID, that like, I don't know, I'm a 12-digit, whatever ID number. So that way it can all link together, and then your GUID in game gets used. And if you're sending stuff as a modder, you can use the Steam IDs or the GUIDs, but everything is translated to a GUID, so it's all properly secured and encrypted. So
it took me a sec to work out what you were saying. Then GUID, GUID.
Oh,
okay.
GUID, sorry.
Yeah, GUID.
GUID, sorry.
Yeah.
That's
the problem with these fucking modders, Marks. They talk in languages that us plebs are fucking. What a GUID? What the fuck's a GUID? Oh, a GUID. A GUID. Oh, a GIME.
Yeah. Sorry. GUID. Game unique. I don't know. Essentially, unique ID, right? Yeah. It's technically your Steam ID. It's just kind of encrypted, I guess you could say. It's hashed is the actual word, but essentially it's an encrypted version of a one-way encrypted version of your Steam ID. So essentially, if you have someone's Steam ID, you could determine their GUID or their GUID. But if you have your GUID, you can't figure out their Steam ID unless you've kept track of it, which is what some services like CF and stuff do. But for the most part, the idea is that you can't figure out who the player is based on their GUID by default, right? So you need to know the Steam ID, and that's why I track only the GUIDs. Obviously, modders can get around that and do different things to make sure they do save the Steam IDs if that's important to them. I try to avoid that personally now, especially after learning that Bohemia doesn't allow Steam IDs to be synced to the clients through the game itself. I know Steam does through the Steam interface, and I know that's something people have talked about here before, how you can just open up in game and see who's playing on the server with you.
Yes.
But in the game itself, they do not link your Steam IDs to the client, other than your own Steam ID. They only give other players the GU IDs. And I think, from what I understand, it was for privacy reasons. So I wanted to respect that. So mine also respects that.
Yep.
By default, if a modder goes about and does something to circumvent that, that's their decision, and that's the server owner's decision to pretend that doesn't happen, right? Like most mods use Steam IDs over GU IDs. There's very few mods that do the GU IDs.
Yeah.
What do you think of that Discord integration into the servers, Marks? Yeah, being able to type something not the Discord, the AI, being able to type a question and get an answer in game.
It'll be a good one. I'll save admins and modders a lot of time of just answering the same question over and over again. It's a cool idea. Definitely a cool idea.
Yeah. See, my idea was more to try to take away from the immersion breaking, right? Again, one of the reasons you can set the name, right? The idea was supposed to kind of allow server admins and moderators and even other players, who don't want to deal with asking the same question over and over again. Like,
but the other big plus, you just said about immersion. One of the big pluses is, instead of having to, hang on, let me alt tab out, go to the Discord, go to the help channel, type in the question or look for the relevant wiki doc or whatever, you could type it in game and get an answer in game on the screen. That is just servers that implement that. If they've got a streamer on there and they're typing a question and getting an answer, that is going to be a really, really attractive thing to a lot of people. Like we talked about, the simpler a server is, look at your mate Dumpgra's metallurgy mod. It is a fantastic mod, and his ammo making mod, but they're very fucking complicated. Very complicated. Yeah. If you could add the formulas, what do I need to make an ammo press? And it comes up, these are the 4 parts you need for the ammo press. How do I make stacked charcoal? You crush it or you do whatever. Just simple little things like that. It's going to change a lot of these more hardcore servers by making as you said, the barrier to entry to them a lot lower. Not every hardcore server will want it. Some like people, the difficulty, and I know, Dumpgra's got his lovely guide book that he's got as part of the mod now. But the simpler it is, the more likely you are to keep players, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I personally, the suggestion of the radio, I think, is an amazing suggestion. I do want to look at that. Like I said, I want to separate to its own mod to kind of give itself its own more visibility, and allow me to add more features and things like that.
Yep.
So the reality is I think that would be a great way for those RP servers to allow players to get help on things without trying to break their immersion, right? Like a lot of PvP servers have server panel, right? You press pause break and you get a server panel and you can see all the rules and information. But if you could make that intuitive and in game, where it's like, if you have any questions about rules, ask it, right? So you can say, where am I allowed to build a base? Right, into the chat, and it will tell, the guy can respond, in chat saying, here is the best place to build a base, right? And then as the side of it I was looking at for PvP servers is you can ask a question in chat, and get a good answer, right? One of the things, like for instance, like servers like the Hideout and other Trump's Wall, those big servers, how many people are trolling you when you ask a question, right?
No one. Who would troll anyone on the internet? What internet are you on, mate? The internet I'm on is full of really nice people who give you nothing but the truth.
So knowing that your answer was curated essentially by the server owners by specifying what the answer will be, it's great. And again, like I said, this is not like a completely plug and play mod. You can't just put it in and it works. You do need to go in. You need to create an account with Microsoft or the Q&A maker. You need to start adding your questions and your answers. And there are ways to import and export questions. So it could be interesting to see. Something I was going to look at was, getting a bunch of the questions, getting some people to volunteer and offer a bunch of questions that are standard DayZ questions that aren't related to specifically to servers, and be able to like import those for people, so that way they can
Like
have
a
a starting
template.
ground somewhere. Yeah, somewhere to
Yeah.
start with, right? And then they tweak those answers. So if there's different questions like, where am I allowed to build? That it's probably gonna be unique to each server, right? But like, what's the price of X? What's the price of a shotgun on the, trader? It's going to be unique, right? That's each server kind of would have their own prices. And I know that's something the Hideout did. They went through and they actually put in all the prices of items on the thing, so you could ask in chat and stuff. Again, it kind of sucks. We probably should relook at it. I'd probably talk to the owner again and be like, let's set this back up so I can have like a nice solid demo of a bigger server community having all that stuff. But
out of curiosity, with the mod, because you showcased the video where you asked the question and the bot responded. Is that only on a client side, so only you can see that, or does the entire server see that response?
so
Because
it's only the clients.
that's good.
So
because I was thinking, if somebody or a group of people is just going to constantly spam the same question over and over and over again, you're running with that. Will also piss off everybody in the server. So I was very. I was thinking a lot about that, but it's and
that's something I might configure as a setting eventually. I do put it into its own standalone. As of right now, it's personalized. It's sent directly to you. Also, on the modding side, it is 100% client side. So the mod itself, like the texting, the text, the questions, everything happens on the client. It doesn't touch the server. So the response from the API, all that stuff happens all from the client side. There's things that added in to make it secure so people can't abuse it. And, if you're using a paid version and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about someone abusing and maybe racking up some extra billing. And there's rate limiting and all that stuff to make sure someone doesn't, spam it too much. But essentially, it's all client side. And I even made a way to make the question silent. So if you start it off with a question mark, instead of ending it with a question mark, it won't send the question to chat. Right? So you don't look like an idiot if you're trying to ask a question that you're kind of embarrassed to ask and hope the AI will respond. Right? You can ask with the question mark in front and it will essentially silently send the question to the AI and respond. If you ask a question in chat normally with a question mark at the end, it sends the question to chat, with the idea being players could also respond to, especially if it was a question that maybe the AI didn't know.
Right.
So you can get the best of both worlds: an answer by players and the answer by the bot. And that was something I kind of thought through and put in there. Like I said, and that's all there. This is a mod that you could install today and work through and get set up today. It's not something that's like coming out later. Like I said, standalone with extra settings and features is something I'll have to just work on now that
Got a link to
people seem to be interested in it.
Got a link to the mod?
It's my the Universal API mod. So it's part of my Universal API mod. Where is that?
I've already got it up here.
Whack it in chat so folks can check it out.
They said there is a process to set it up. It requires an third-party application, which is all open source. The mod is 100% open source. Anyone who doesn't trust installing some random piece of code from somebody on the internet, hopefully I'm a little more trustworthy than most people these days in this community anyways. But if you want to, you can build the program from scratch yourself. It's all there. All the code on the stuff is on the website. It's all written publicly for people to run. So if people don't trust it, they can go through the code and review it if you know what you're doing. But essentially, there's a third-party program. You install it. If you're running server on Windows, you just install the application. If you're running it on Linux, there are instructions on how to set it up on Linux. If you're using a third-party provider, like a GSP, you might have some problems setting up the application. I've sent recommendations to people in the past using something like Vulture or DigitalOcean. They're really cheap. You can get really cheap, I think Vulture has servers for $3.50, which would be sufficient for the API, not DayZ, but for the API is sufficient to run that. For smaller communities, if you got a bigger community, we ran into issues on the Hideout with their stuff. We ended up having to scale up their servers a bit more to I think it was $40 a month that they were spending on the servers to run that when they were running 14 servers. If you're running one or two, I know. I think Sunnyvale was using my API for Hive banking at one point, and they were running it on the $3 machine, I believe, and they had 5 or 6 servers perfectly fine.
Cool.
So
Well,
like,
there you go. If it works, it works. There you go.
yeah. There will be differences too. Like for instance, the mod a Universal API is also used for MapLink. So once you get this mod set up, MapLink and Hive Banking also work kind of seamlessly with it, without really needing to do much else. The big part is setting up the Universal API mod. And like I said, Raid Alarm will also be requiring the Universal API mod for the Discord integration, right? To be able to receive the message on Discord that you're being raided. That's all done through the Universal API mod. So that's another side of that. So you will need that mod for Raid Alarm as of right now, as well. So if you are interested in that mod, then you'll eventually need to get this set up. I have information on my Discord on how to set it up. There's people there that help out a lot now. I'm actually really happy, as at least last 2 weeks I've been super busy, and I guess some people in my community have stepped up on my Discord and we're actually helping people out. So I didn't have to do it as much. I was like trying to check back every once in a while, and I'm like, oh, someone already answered them. Sweet. I don't need to answer every question on my Discord anymore, which is nice. For quite a while, I was the only one answering questions on my Discord, so it almost felt like a full-time job on top of my full-time job. So, it's kind of nice seeing that my community is growing now, and that people are actually helping each other out, and it's not just me answering every single question.
Yes.
And like I said, after this podcast, I'll try to get the instructions for how to set up the Q&A maker stuff.
There's a link to his website, his GitHub, his Steam Community Workshop, and also to his Discord, folks. And I've shared a link to your PayPal as well. It's we say this every week on the bloody podcast, mate, but people need to be doing more to support modders like yourself. I know you don't really, you're probably like most of them, you don't really care whether people donate or not, but
nice.
it's basically for streamers. Yes, some of them are making a living from it, but the more we can do to help modders like yourself, and money is a great motivator. Money is a really great motivator to keep people hanging around and working and improving and supporting these awesome mods that you create over time.
Like I said, one thing I always said, and it's something I believed in, so it's actually even one of my things on my, if you go to my sponsorships page instead of my PayPal, but, if you're just even donating like $3 a month to say, here, have a beer on me, right, kind of thing, or, I say beer, some people say have a coffee or a Red Bull on me kind of thing, but I just, it is what it is, right? You donate $3, here, let me buy you a beer, let me buy you a cup of coffee. And those things help. Like, as much as people don't understand, getting those even just $3 donations, it's very motivating for people. It's something I kind of encourage in the community. I talk to server owners a lot, and I always say, I personally am, donations are great. I'm not in a situation where I'm relying on that kind of money. I'm grateful enough to have a decent paying job and and that type of stuff. So the money is just a nice little thank you, and I do appreciate even just a $3 donation. It's great motivator too when you see that come in and you're just like, people actually like this work. People like what I'm doing, and a lot of times I take that money and I use it to pay for things like, my server that I run, a lot of the donations for modding go to pay for that, just to keep, and I use it for testing, right? And I like to test all my mods on there. And it's not super cheap to keep running, right? As well as, pays for, things like models and things like that for Raid Alarm, for instance. I had to buy some 3D models for that mod, right? They weren't expensive. They were like $10, $15. So, and a lot of people I don't realize that. So someone sending me a couple of people sending me a $10 donation helps pay for a model for a mod that I don't have to now go and try to, find those crappier free models. And
it's not just that. It's also for those of us who are lucky enough to have a significant other in our lives. As I've mentioned, even the podcast in some ways is a bit of a money sinkhole for me. Marks and Lad have got an idea of how much I put into it each month, a lot more than I actually get back. But it's a passion project of mine. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm not employed. I'm on a military pension, so I quite often have to go cap in hand to the missus, and she's very, very understanding. But just when I don't have to go cap in hand, or I'm able to turn around and say, yeah, Dale, I actually made a bit of money today on the podcast or whatever, it makes it easier for us to justify our hobbies, doesn't it, Daemonforge?
Yes, and like I said, how many times have I gotten like larger donations? I always make the joke, like, it helps me stay out of trouble, because I'll go and I'll buy us dinner, right? And I'm very blunt with money. I'm not every penny is not going to always just go towards future mods. It's to kind of keep modding, and it's about gratitude to the person doing the work,
Yes.
right? Everything doesn't have to be about only investing back in the mod, and I'm very blunt about that on my pages when you're donating to me. And this is not a guarantee that this money is 100%. So, being able to buy my wife some dinner one night to keep her off my back for the rest of the week while I'm on the computer all night goes a long way, right?
I got a nice donation earlier when I was streaming, and it was $50, and I was told, buy your missus some flowers. And I am buying my missus some fucking flowers and some chocolates, because she puts up with me. She's even woken up at 4 a.m. to make sure I'm awake at 4 a.m. To do the podcast. God bless her. She's awesome. So I will be buying her flowers and chocolates with that money. So thank you once again for that, Michael. But yeah, I've just shared his PayPal links again. If someone, one of the mods, can copy that as well and post it a few times throughout the podcast, would be greatly appreciated. Because that's fucking awesome. That API mod, man. Like I literally, I would be so daunted setting it up. But for those who are tech minded, that's gonna change. It's gonna make their life so much easier.
Yeah, I'd like to commend something on the API. It's not as hard as a lot of people think it is to set up. It used to be a little harder. I want to admit
you say that.
was.
You went to fucking school for 2.5 years.
No, so I would like to say I did my best. So one of the things in my day job is making things easier for people is always kind of like my biggest thing, right? Making sure the industry I work in is comes to do healthcare, social services. So the staff there didn't go to school for computers. They didn't go to school for this. So I always prided myself on trying to make it this as easy as I can for the non-technical people out there. I remember going through a training one time, training someone how to do an email, right? And I've seen the extremes on both sides. So the Universal API mod, at the point that it's at now, and the reason I released it fully now, because Wilds is in beta, it's pretty much you download a program, you double click it like anything else, it installs, and I'd argue that it's easier to set up than Omega Manager itself. Right, you run the program and then you copy and paste a few things into a config for each server and add the mod to the server. So it's pretty much a handful of steps now. If you're using Windows, now Linux is a little harder, and I want to put that out there for people who use the GSP. It's going to be a little more complicated to get set up and get access to, but the program itself is double click, it installs itself. It's got a little interface that you can interact with to restart it, to configure the settings, to edit the database, set it files and things like that, delete, wipe it, and things like that. And then it has you just copy and paste a couple of little things. The trickiest part sometimes is the firewall rules, which I'm hoping to figure out a way to kind of automate that in the near future. But just make sure your firewall is open. But I have a tutorial page on how to do that as well. But most people also know how to open up a firewall rule at this point. If you've been running a DayZ server before Omega Manager, you probably had to open up the firewall rules already for DayZ and such. So I'd argue that it's no harder to set up than a DayZ server, if not easier to set up than a DayZ server. It's just something so it's not super complicated for those people who are like, do I want to go through the effort of setting it up? The more complicated things to set up is something like Q&A Maker, but even that, I'd argue it's copy and pasting, right? It's setting up an account, going through the next, giving them your email address, all that stuff, and then copying and pasting a few things into the interface, right? And that's kind of something I've kind of pride myself on for this, is I didn't want to release it fully until I had an easy way to set it up. And that's kind of was one of my starting points. And I made sure that I had an easy way to set it up before I released it fully to the whole community at large, right?
People like you, Lad, Inclement Dab, Daone, Jacob Mango, the expansion team, Base Building Plus team, there's so many modders, so many Helkiana, fucking just you guys are a blessing to the community. You really, really are. Yes, I've gotten to play experimental and see the vanilla version of the game, and it's a lot better than I thought it was. But you can't deny that without you people working the magic that you do in the background, DayZ wouldn't be in anywhere near the state it is in right now. Wouldn't have anywhere near as many people playing. Sure, there'd still be the dedicated core, like there always was in the dark old days when it got down to over 3,000 concurrent players. But you guys and girls have really transformed this game. And I'm so excited to see what else you all come up with.
Yeah, and that was my big thing. I wanted to make something. Universal API, the story behind it is I was commissioned by the Hideout to make a leaderboards mod for them. And I was looking, they wanted it to be across all their servers. And I was just kind of thinking about how is the best way to handle that. So I need some type of central database. And I talked to the owner and I was like, I would like to make this backend available to everybody, so anyone can make something like this. And I thought it'd be nice for the whole community to have something, because there wasn't really any way for hiving or to connect multiple servers together in the community at all, at least not publicly. I know some communities had their own private things and their own private APIs and their private backends and things like that to connect servers together, but there was just nothing out there for the general modder to utilize. So I was like, I'm going to make this. So I'll make the commission. I'll make the leaderboards portion, the portion that's a little more exclusive, the part that's a little more, the part that he really cared about in the first place, private. And then I use the rest of the time to also invest in making the API mod as a public, free, open source mod for the whole community, so others could kind of take this. And then I made the hide banking mod as an example mod, just so people could kind of see how it works and play around with it. Like if you're a modder, you can kind of be like, okay, well, this is just a mess of code. What do I actually do with this thing? So I made the hide banking mod as a kind of an example, right? Just to show modders how to utilize it. So it was never really pushed out. I never really touched on my hide banking. There's only a handful of communities that ever even ran it. Some of them ran it and then removed it because it was kind of controversial for some communities. Hide banking, I thought personally, I was like, this is awesome. If you're a large community, having ability to put money in on one server and withdraw on another server, I thought would be awesome, because you essentially you can go play on any server you want to play on. So it helped communities grow, right? Because one of the biggest issues, if a new community wants to open up a new server, the likelihood is that servers might not ever get to the number of players they want to get to, right? So having the ability to withdraw some money on this new server, let's say you're getting harassed by some people on the other server, like, not actual bad harassment, like, they're raiding you all the time, you're getting annoyed by them or whatever like that, and you want to move to another server, moving to another server in the same community where you can sell all your stuff, cash it in the ATM, and then move over would be very useful. Some communities saw exploitation with it, though, and that's why they decided, like, players would go play on the dead server, just like, vanilla had. You go play on the dead server, loot up, sell everything, and then take the money over to the main server. And it wasn't necessarily the most ideal. I found it worked well with some communities that had already good high pop servers. So they had like 4 high pop servers, and all 4 servers contributed. So it wasn't really an issue the same way for them. It was used more in the way that it was kind of originally envisioned. But a handful of communities saw the reverse, or I don't know. And I think there is some stuff server owners need to consideration, because I know one server owner put like the same API and the same backend for his RP servers as his PvP servers and his PvE server, and then all of a sudden, people would go be playing on the RP servers to make a ton of money because it was lower pop, take that money over to the PvP server and sell their gear, which I personally think would be kind of an interesting way if you're a PvPer, like an RPer, and you want to go play PvP for a little while, that you have some starting cash, and this time that you've committed into in the PvE side can pay off. But you can understand also why some players didn't like the idea. Right, I can understand why, there are peers who just wanted RP and not PvP every once in a while. We're getting annoyed by these PvP players coming on the server. And the community said they weren't really having issues with players, like, breaking rules, but a lot of them were skirting the rules, kind of things to try to
you'll always
keep.
get that.
So I know that was kind of the thing. So hiving and that type of stuff. There is some controversy around whether or not they should do that. And I personally believe, again, I make the mod. It's up to the server owners and the community to decide the best way to operate the mod.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because
try to give you the
you
most
give the
tools.
options. Yeah, because you give them the options there, and like it's like you make this package, and it comes with a whole bunch of features, and it's up to the end user to do what they want with those tools that you provide them. And like, yeah, sure, like you said, there could be like a potential exploit with that particular part of the package, but if the server owner or server owners and their team don't take an account for it and do what you just described, with the PvP, RP, PvE combination, then that's kind of their fault, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think and each community can each their own, right? Like each community can kind of decide what the best course of action for their community is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with Hive banking and the map link together, it was a great combination in regards to your banking is across the board of all the servers, and your map link is across the board of all servers. And I've seen a higher uptick in Hive banking now that map link is out, in beta.
Yes.
I do want to get out of beta. There's a few features I want to put in there before I consider it done. So I'm waiting to put it before I release it, just to get those features done, and hopefully, with Raid Alarm, I'll get that out of the way. I also have my Heroes and Bandits mod that I want to get finished as well. So hopefully I'll get around to all those things. I'm only one person, and I have a full 9 to 5 job. So finding time to mod and have a life do get trickier.
Yeah, but honestly, mate, like everything, like the past hour and 17 minutes so far, you've completely blown my mind. Never mind Mark's and Boydie, but. But it's actually been really, really cool to get an insight into how your mind works and the kind of projects that you've been involved in, directly or indirectly. And it's really, really exciting to see what else you come up with. And it's good that, you're back from your little break, and just don't push yourself too hard. I mean, I shouldn't have to fucking say it, but just don't burn yourself out. It's just make sure you don't fucking burn yourself out. Take your time. Yeah. People can wait.
Yes, no, for sure. And that's why, even for myself, I don't take on projects that I don't find interesting, so I don't burn myself out. I get DMs probably weekly asking me, "Oh, can you do this private project for me? Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me?" And I've kind of stepped back from commission work, unless the project is interesting. Right.
Yeah.
If I don't personally find a project interesting, no matter how much money they're offering, I've had people offer, hundreds of even thousands of dollars to do projects, and I'm just like I don't want to, as much as I enjoy this, and yes, the money would be nice, I'm not here for the money. I'm not here to make a ton of money doing this. I'm here for fun. I'm here to enjoy this, and I also always try to get a chance to play. I am probably one of those modders, few modders that still play the game regularly. I try really hard to still play, and my friends are really good at that. Actually, he was playing XTK.
You spoke to me about it.
So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed playing on XTK for the weekend. For a couple. I think it was just 2 days I was playing on it for, because I went to the cottage and everything as well that weekend. But my friends have been following it for so long, and they're just begging me, "Come on, let's play." And I was like, "You know what? Sweet, let's play." Looked up who was running it, and I was like, "Oh, lad's there." So I was like, "Sweet, I know somebody." But yeah, so they were begging me to come play it, so I went on and played with them for a few hours. I know they played a lot more that weekend as well, and they had a blast with it. And I like to try those servers out, those unique kind of situationals and the sweet unique servers. And even myself will play on. We'll play all different kinds of servers, and that's kind of interesting. We'll go play vanilla for a couple weeks, and then we'll go play on Future Six's servers or the Hideout or something like that to get some PvP fun in, right? So it's always nice to play, and that's one of the things I like about DayZ is the variety. If I get bored of one type of gameplay with DayZ, it's so easy to find a server that has something kind of different, right?
It actually is, and that's. I mean, we're just saying earlier on with kind of different things with DayZ. It's the variety is always good, and people's been saying in chat, there's PvP servers, but there's too many of them, not many good ones. It's like, yeah, that's fair, but you can say the same for any other kind of server. It's just whatever you decide is good for you, you play on. And if something really interests you, well, there you go.
For sure.
Keep it up, mate. Keep it up. All of you modders have to keep it up. Now, we have got a lot more to talk on.
Yes.
Before I go any further, though, enter the bloody raffle, folks. All of you watching on YouTube and or Facebook, head over to twitch.tv/878SurvivorFM. Hit the follow button. You'll get creditable points. You can enter up to 50 times. We're giving away one of these caps that I'm wearing right here. I fucking love them. There's a few of you who need to update your points. I'm just quickly going back to it. You need to type !raffle and then space and then 50. So there's a few of you who haven't used your full amount of points yet. Just bringing it up. Emser, you can enter another 23 times. Hector, you can enter another 36 times. Melbourne, you can enter another 27 times. So jump in. Still got 38 minutes left before the raffle gets drawn. Giving away a DayZ podcast dad cap, distressed dad cap. I just like them. I can't stand those flat caps, Marks. I don't like those. They call them starter caps or something.
Oh, I think I have I have one or two. I do prefer the kind of curved ones myself more.
Yeah.
Definitely nicer.
I should probably add one to the store, but I just I don't like them. These young kids in their flat caps.
No.
You know what we need?
What?
We need a DayZ podcast boonie hat. I want a boonie hat.
Yes.
I think they actually have it. I think they call it a bucket hat. I think they actually have one. So I'll have a look and see if I can add that to the store. I was thinking after the baddie mode episode, I needed to get a DayZ podcast bathrobe.
Yeah. Why not?
When you fuckers were all making fun of me when I got up, lad, you and OG and Baddie. But yeah, so enter in. There's still Hector and MC. You need to enter more times. You have to be in chat to claim the prize. I should have said that, but I'll say that now. You have to be in chat, otherwise we're going to redraw. Okay, we have got topics to move on to. Let me bring up the first one. The first one, conspiracy theory time. Fuck Hannah.
Oh, fuck off.
This was
Let me get my tinfoil hat.
This was a great post. DayZ Standalone was released on the 16th of December 2013. Since its release, the game has undergone a lot of big changes and improvements. The game has been updated on a regular basis with each new build, either reintroducing older features that were previously removed or introducing new features like a new stealth system. Build 1.14 is about to release, so what's cool about this update? The new update has one particular feature that brings new hints and even more questions to the lore of DayZ Standalone. In fact, in 1.14, we observed massive changes in the game dynamic and feeling with the introduction of artillery strikes. Oh, this is a monster post. Did you guys get to read through it?
A little bit here and there.
I refuse to read something that big. I'm not reading something that long. Not a hope.
But
I got him to join the Discord because he had some awesome points, didn't he, lad?
yes, he actually did. Like I've seen Raving Legion talk about it here, there, and everywhere about this update. And the more questions and the more you talk about it, the more stuff like comes out, and it's like, it's at this point, it's like the whole Hannah situation. It's a fucking running joke, and every single time someone mentions that name, I get flashbacks. Right? I hate it, but the whole with what 1.14 is introducing, even if it is intended to just be simply a gameplay feature, the fact is that the community are coming together to create all these theories, all these stories and everything like that, to try and piece everything together to make it all make sense, is really cool. And from the little snippets I've seen from this post, there's a lot of questions here that are needing to be answered, and maybe DayZ with Scotty and that being at the helm apparently for this whole thing, by the way, you're a twat. Just want to say that it's all really cool. It is really, really, really nice. And it's not just the PC players, it's console players, which is even better. Like, it's everybody from those communities coming together to try and figure this stuff out. And it's just so fucking cool. Even though it breaks my goddamn brain. And it breaks a lot of people's brain. But it's also reignited.
I've gone quiet on it.
Really
it was consuming me. And we need more hints. Scotty, if you're watching, we need something. You need to throw us a frickin' bone, man. We've exhausted pretty much. Marks, you and fucking the lad and DanceofJesus were just going insane with this, along with Archie as well. It was, yeah. I can't wait for more info to come out. I really can't.
I think the Hannah thing will have a reference in the trailer. I would assume it's a movie quote of some sort. That'll be in. It's just something teasing in the trailer. I don't think it's going to be anything more than that, personally. But
I'm
wait and see.
Fucking laugh because what was it? When we were trying to go through everything, it turns out that Hannah RU was based on a ship, wasn't it? And the ship that's in the game is based on the real life ships that were found. So I'd be surprised if the ship at Riffy is actually called Hannah. Which
Probably
would piss me the fuck off, because it's like, it's been under our nose into this whole goddamn fucking time.
And it could be get up high on the ship, because if you get to the very top level of the ship, you're out of the gas cloud. So
yes.
Who knows? What impresses me though is how much work they put into this. It's not an easy thing. It's not they hacked it up over lunch or something like that, and people cracked it within 5 minutes of looking at it. It's been so much in depth. It's been awesome, absolutely awesome. They've really done well. But we've had a bit more time to sink our teeth into 1.14 now. Daemonforge, what do you think about the toxic gas?
It's awesome. I was looking at it. I've already tried to see what I might be able to do with it modding wise. Definitely have to look into it a lot more. I've raced through all the code and the code changes that they put into it and kind of how they're working. And I think it's really cool to see them adding something. Like, again, I understand like this is something that's been modded for ages, but it's nice to see that they're adding stuff that modders have done. Like, they're kind of like growing from the game, and they're doing these things better than what we could ever do, in my opinion. And it's fun to see, and even if a server doesn't use the vanilla Toxic Zones, seems very easy for modders to maybe even take advantage of it for their different styles of Toxic Zones. So I'd love to see the mods that exist, like Toxic Zones and stuff like that, instead of going back and restepping and redoing their code to maybe improve on this existing Toxic Zone mod, this new Toxic Zone portion. I had a lot of fun. I was playing around with Experimental for a while, having a lot of fun, just kind of going through and checking everything out. I had it on my own little local test server, so I was just teleporting around, exploring things, and it was kind of nice to see, and it was cool. I'm really excited to see the Toxic Zones, and I'm excited to see servers use it, because I know a lot of servers who were interested in using Toxic Zones but never added them because of performance or XYZ. So I'm hoping that with vanilla doing it, there won't be those same issues, right? So the bigger PvP servers will be able to take advantage of this stuff, and I think it'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah, it's with what 114 is adding, not only with the Toxic Zones but also with actually implementing the gas masks as intended. It definitely leaves modders more choice into what kind of items that they want to make. Like I've been saying for a while, depending on how the experimental patch goes, I want to create like a vanilla Toxic Zone plus mod, where it's like a bunch of like quality additions to it. So it's like you can refill the filters with charcoal tablets as you originally intended to do, stuff like that. Create different kind of filters, so you can get like the normal vanilla one, which is like the 8 minutes when you're in, but you can get other better filters which last longer. Different NBC suits. In fact, I had a good friend of mine in the modding community who found an old Armor 3 mod that the license is like fully open, like you can do whatever the hell you want with it across any platform. So he sent me all these files and he was like, there you go. If you want to have fun with that and do all this kind of stuff, go for it. And I'm like, fuck, I only wanted to do like quality insurances and shit like that. I didn't want to make this stuff. But the potential for it is absolutely fantastic.
What do you guys think about the frequency of the events? So I did a poll. We all know how much I love my polls. But the majority of people said good as is, but a surprising amount of people said need to be rarer. Very few said get rid of them. And very few said we need more. So the majority was good as is or need to be rarer. I like them. I had a patch when on the first time I ran Marks where, you know, I think those who were watching me, I ran into 3 towns in a row. But then today, in the time I was on, I didn't see a single toxic cloud. I heard the artillery. I finally got to see a chopper crash, but I like it. It's a good dynamic event. It's relatively rare, and I'm starting to see some videos coming up of people that the toxic clouds are impacting. And I don't just mean impacting by landing on you and you've got to run, but in the middle of PvP and stuff like that. It's adding a really cool dynamic to the game. What are your thoughts on the frequency though, Marks?
They're perfect the way they are, I think. It keeps people moving. Like me and my brother were running down from the north and we were heading towards Krasno Airfield. And we were running into Gorka. And we weren't going to stop in Gorka. We were just going to run through it. But as we got close to Gorka, we could see the cloud and Gorka had been hit with an artillery attack. And I had the thought that, like, if you were starving of hunger and you were like, or you were on your last bit of food and you were like, I need to hit Gorka town to get some food or something like that because I'm going to be in trouble otherwise, and then it was hit, it's going to have to make you think and keep you kind of keep your mind thinking of like, okay, right, this plan isn't going to work. I need to have a backup plan here in case this doesn't work. Maybe I need to go hunting for an animal or something like that instead. And I really like for that reason. It makes the game a bit harder, but not like insanely hard. You know, you just have to kind of think a bit more. And it's good as well for people who, you know, when base building, like when people just base building and sit in their bases all day, now they have to kind of move if they don't have the gear and all of this stuff. And it's going to affect base raiding as well, which is even
bring up a really good point there, mate, in that it's going to affect the gear. Like Iron Data just said in chat, about stashing your NBC gear. Well, if you're not going to stash it, like you were saying to me earlier, do you carry it on you? And yeah, there's been a bit of chatter, lad, about the tripwire grenades and that they're a bit OP. But when you consider now, especially on the servers where you don't have the MVS pouches, you know, where you can carry fucking half the server's loot economy on you. When you're playing a more vanilla style of DayZ, lad, you're going to have to be weighing up what you carry on you. Now, they reduced the size of the NBC gear, but it still takes up a fair amount of room, a full set.
It does. It does, yeah.
The gas mask is massive.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, Marks and I, we've had this discussion before where you go with protection, I go with inventory. It's like I was streaming yesterday on the Malsk, and I think it was...
we all know what I go for.
It was
max fucking inventory, baby.
Well, it was funny because I was just playing on like a vanilla Namalsk server, and I know it's different from the 1.14, but I'll get back to it. And Melbourne was like, he was giving a shit because I dropped the tactical vest with the large inventory, and I went with a smash vest instead because I can put the butt pack, which means I get more inventory space. And he was just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'm like, I want me inventory space." But going back to 1.14, it's like you really have to prepare more to go inland, especially when you you know, if you get a good spot, like, I don't know, it's like Electro, for example, you have to really be careful about what you're going to do. Like, yeah, sure, you can still have your normal loot and run by going north, hitting the little fucking little tiny hospital, like the clinic. Thank you, the clinic, and it's like, yeah, sure, you can keep going on, but the more you go up, the more chances you're going to get hit by that gas cloud. And it's like, I'm really going to have to think more about what I'm going to need to carry, what I actually have in terms of food. And, you know, when it hits stable and modding comes into play, like, what if somebody creates a mod where it's like food and whatnot is contaminated in the cloud area, like in that 100-meter radius? What if like they create a new kind of like function where it's like, okay, shit, right, if I go in after the cloud's gone, this food is going to be contaminated. What am I going to have to do to decontaminate it if you can? And it's like, there's a lot more stuff you really have to think about, and it's definitely creating that survival aspect, which DayZ, I think, is really needed for a
They're
lot.
going to need to work, though, I think, Demon, on the inventory of items, because at the moment, pretty much all you can do is run around as a Johnny Rambo to have max inventory space. Yes, you've got the mountain backpacks, but they're 20 slots less than a field backpack. Now, having been military, I've seen military backpacks and I've seen civilian backpacks. And some of the backpacks that backpackers, you know, like your holiday backpackers that travel the world on, you know, minimal budget, some of those backpacks hold more than fucking military backpacks. They need to give us more options. Otherwise, it's just going to be a bunch of people running around wearing Johnny Rambo. One thing I would like to see is an attachment slot on backpacks that you can put NBC gear into, that it attaches the items for Demon.
Or even the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen, I don't think I've seen a mod that does the mask, but I've seen mods for sure that do the NPC suits. I don't remember which one it is, but I know I'm like 99% sure there is definitely a mod out there that has like the NPC suit like pack. Essentially, it's a little pack that you put your like it has all the slots for all the NPC suit items, and then you attach it.
Mass, in his mini item overhaul, he has an NBC bag which you can put all your NBC clothes into.
Probably why I see it on almost all the servers.
Yeah, and that goes on the large canvas bag and the survivalist bag. And on the survivalist bag, you can put a gas mask on there as well. So on a modded server, that's probably the best kind of bag you can get. Not in terms of inventory, but in terms of actually having the slots available for your NBC stuff. So if you need to quickly switch over, you're good to go.
And I love backpacks and items that do that, where you maybe give up a little bit of space, like actual inventory space. So I think it's one of those like low-key sleeper things that a lot of people don't really think about when they're gearing up. They pick the item with the most slots, you know, the 10x10 backpacks on the modded servers that carry 100 items. But then if you look at some of those like field bags and some of the other like military style bags that they offer, they have all these attachment slots, which if you were to go through all the items in those attachment slots and move them into the bag, you would by far be taking up way more space. And I think that is something that's very useful, and something I really like to see on servers, especially adding those proxies and things like that, so you can actually see the item on the outside of the gear. You know, think about like, you know, if I was in an apocalypse, I would probably wouldn't have, and something like that, I needed a mask, I probably wouldn't have it in the bottom of my bag. I'd have it like clipped out to the outside, right? So I could just grab it and put it on right away. You know, so, and I think another thing a lot of modded servers are probably going to start doing is they're going to start adding the protection, the contamination protection to standard clothing. Again, whether people agree with that or to do that or not, but I think it's something that will probably end up happening on a lot of servers, those people who are really worried. So you'll probably only really need to carry a mask, and then you'll have some, you know, some gear that already gives you some base level protection. So if I remember looking at the code correctly, you can actually set how much protection each gear gives you. So each piece of gear will have a set contamination resistance.
Well, Mark, you talked about that in your video about the fireman's outfit. You'd expect the fireman's outfit to give you more protection than canvas pants and a t-shirt, wouldn't you, Marks?
Yeah, so it was DanceofJesus that actually told me that Sumrak was, I think, went into a zone with firefighter protection gear on it. It stopped him bleeding as much as if he just went in with like fresh spawn clothes on. And I found that quite interesting. So yeah, it gives you a certain bit of protection, but not a crazy amount.
I could see a good mod lad being duct tape. being able to duct tape your clothes to give you
Improvised NBC suit.
Yeah, maybe if you've got a raincoat on and Gorka pants and use a bit of duct tape on them, I don't know how hard that would be, but you see most of the time when people are working in those protective environments, they're using duct tape around the joins of the seals to provide that extra seal. So there's an interesting mod for someone.
Yeah, I think it'd be an awesome little mod, especially if you did it right with adding some textures over it to show the duct tape on the edges. Because it definitely would provide protection. I think duct taping a raincoat to your duct taping around your boot and duct taping around the waist and around the gloves and stuff like that. Maybe it's not 100%. Maybe there's a bit of leakage that can happen, or maybe it only works as long as everything is pristine. Like if your suit gets ruined, it becomes less protective against it and stuff like that. That'd be kind of interesting to see. I think that'd be a great dynamic for servers to provide. Especially those more they call them vanilla plus servers, the servers that aren't fully vanilla, but try to be as vanilla as they can.
Yeah.
I think those type of servers could do well with those type of mods where it's realistic to believe that a player could do this and survive, and maybe as long as they're not in there for more than X amount of time, they come out perfectly fine.
I wonder if Winstride is already on it, because his mods in his clothing is absolutely exceptional, but probably is the best in the community. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to do something, maybe. But like I said before, the potential for modding for this new update, and considering there's a lot more modding support with a lot of different features coming out, not all of it I understand, it's still really, really fucking cool. And I cannot wait, especially considering NBC has really been in 13 before, the only use it has is you don't get wet. That's it. But the inventory size really justify using it. But now it's like when I was playing with Marks and DOJ and Archie and whatnot, all of us were wearing NBC. Complete. The only thing that were changing out was our shoes. Yeah, the banana bars.
I think it's so you get spotted very easily.
Yeah. Trust us, I fucking know I got shot in the head.
Same.
But now something else that's been gathering a bit of attention is the tripwire grenades.
Yes.
Some people are calling them a bit OP, but I heard something and I tested it today on stream, so I'll put it to full screen so people can see it easier. And sure enough, it works. Okay, so what we are testing is I have been told that if you crouch walk through it, you don't set it off. That is correct.
Oh, wow.
That is actually fucking cool.
One more time for posterity. Set it off.
See, it's little details like that I absolutely love.
Now, someone in chat said, "Oh, that's confirmed." Someone clipped that. Not very believable, but I think it's a good mechanic because you can see a tripwire. I know this from personal experience. You can see them and you can step over them. But DayZ does not have that mechanic to enable you to step over it. But what they've done, there you go. You can see the comment from Optimal right there on the screen. That's kind of stupid. At first glance, yes, it is, because I'm crouch walking through a tripwire. But as a game mechanic, I think that is a nice little addition because it enables you, fuck, there's a tripwire there. Well, I can't step over it. You could maybe try and run the gauntlet. I should have actually tried it as part of my test to jump it to see if you could actually physically jump them or whether it auto trips it. But it enables you, I can, and it slows you down, makes you an easier target if someone is monitoring the tripwire. You've got to crouch walk and you can get through it, or you can lay down and crawl through it. So there you go, folks. I've shared that one with Wobo. I'd sent it through to him, but I have heard that zombies do trigger them. I saw that in a video. So, yes, animals, I don't know if animals trigger them. But
I would imagine they wouldn't.
So sorry, go ahead, lad.
No, go on, man. Go on, bud.
So people saying that the tripwires are OP and everything like that, but I don't think they're realizing that people have been asking for some type of base defense system with a really, really long time. And now you've gotten it, and now you're calling your base defense system super OP, which just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a great system for literally defending your base, because you're going to have to be really, really careful going into them now, because sometimes, like, a tripwire, when you're raiding the base, you're not going to, one thing you're going to be not concentrating on is where you're walking most of the time, because you're going to be looking at so many different things.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, it's a great addition. I don't think it's overpowered at all.
No,
yeah,
it's really
For you modders, have you checked what the persistence is of a tripwire? How long do they last for? And will they be affected by base flags?
And I haven't checked.
I haven't checked either. Let's see, I'm assuming it's in the types, though. I can probably just quickly pull it up.
Yeah, it'll most likely be in the types. I'm kind of waiting for stable. When whatever they're gonna plan to do with them, if they are, is done, then I'm gonna take a look at them to see how they function, to see kind of like how. I mean, I know triggers are already in the game, but I want to see exactly how these triggers are done, because I want to learn how to do that for other projects. But exactly, I mean, I agree with you, Max. Like, people's been asking for tripwires and stuff like that for fucking ages. Ever since 0.63 and 1.0 came out, they've been asking for this feature in. And now that they've got it, they complain. And it just goes to prove it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's like, what the fuck do you expect? There's a certain level of quality that vanilla is aiming for, especially with stuff like this, and it's a nice little feature that you can just crouch to get over it. And it's like, people, I can imagine people saying that's pretty stupid. What's the point in doing that? You can just avoid the traps. And it's like, well, yeah, that's the point, but at the same time, it's a penalty of your speed. If you're crouching around a corner, you're crouching around a corner, and you're just, you're just camping there, you're just waiting, and they come across, they crouch, they go through the tripwire, you can still fucking kill them. And it's like, it doesn't really matter. And as a base defense, it's perfect having like a bunch of rings around a base or something like that, or maybe just in certain choke points. And it's like, you can either have a flashbang, you smoke, or you grenade and that, and it's if you're wary enough, yeah, sure, you can still avoid it. But a lot of people just run and sprint through forests.
Yeah.
So that's just more fool you, really.
Yeah. I feel like in the forest would probably get more players than playing in a house, because I think less people will look at the ground when they're in the forest than they would if they're looting through a house, because you're trying to look for the loot. So your eyes are kind of already on the ground. I think a lot of experienced players will already know where the loot is, and will be looking at those places.
But where were all these people, Demon, when, I've been going on. I've got a video that's 5 years old, I think, if not more, about landmines and how much I fucking hated landmines. And they finally changed landmines. My ego likes to think they changed it based on me harping about how bullshit they were. This simple thing that you can just see, look at, and click arm, and it's armed. And then put a jacket over it, and it trolls someone and kills them instantly. Now, if you're full health, you don't die from it. But where were they when that was going on? At least now, you've got to find the wire, which is 6 slots of your inventory, which when you're scrambling to fit in a full NBC suit, a gas mask, food, guns, all the rest of it, you've got to make that conscious decision to actually carry the tripwire on you now. And because they got rid of rope, which I think was a good idea as well, getting rid of the rope, has to be a wire, and then craft the tripwire and then attach the grenade to it. There's a lot more involved. I am 110% behind tripwires. I think landmines should go to being a heli loot and maybe the toxic zones only. So you've really got to, be lucky to find one. But they should be rare as fucking hen's teeth. But tripwires, go to fucking town. If you're not paying attention to where you are, too bad, so sad. It'll be frustrating, I know, but yeah.
Exactly.
You were wondering where all the people were years ago. You got to remember the console version wasn't out 5 years ago, buddy. They couldn't complain. Because that's I know I harp on about them, but that's the majority of people who are complaining about these tripwires and stuff like this is the console community. And it's mainly people who haven't even gotten a chance to play it yet. And they're giving out, because when I teased the artillery 2 weeks before the update was even, experimental was even out, people are going, oh, this is the worst update they've ever done. Like, we haven't even seen pictures of it yet, and they're giving out. It just...
But see, that's the thing. You just people are automatically. See, you'll get those players like ourselves who are really, really interested in what DayZ has in store for us. I mean, we're shown that when release the trailer, and then you'll get those players who are just kind of like, whatever. They don't really care. They don't mind either way. And then you'll get that small segment of players who'll constantly shit on the team no matter what they do, even if they add in a feature they've been asking for ages. And it's like, look, we all know it's a funny meme to shit on the DayZ dev team, but don't you think it's a bit fucking tiring now? The team isn't just what it was back in 3 years ago. It's probably a new team now. We've got a new lead guy, Sumrak, who's leading the game into a brilliant direction, and we've got Scotty there who's also helping along with it, and everybody else in the team, the unsung heroes, are leading it in a really, really good way. And just to go to proving how much they've actually cared, when the official servers completely fucking died, when 14 first hit experimental, they were on it straight away. They were already looking straight into it. Other companies wouldn't give a shit.
Now, something else I want to ask you guys' opinion on is how noisy the world is now. I saw a comment, I can't remember who it was from, but they were saying about how one thing they don't like now is, it seems like every other 5 minutes or so, there's a chopper crashing, there's a fucking artillery strike going off, you hear the rounds being fired in the distance, you maybe hear them landing near you. It's kind of ruined the silence of DayZ a bit. What do you reckon about that, Marks? I'll be back in a sec, just going to go to the toilet.
Again, I'd have to disagree. I think it's great. The game for years, I think, was too quiet. It wasn't. I know it's nice. It's a nice environment stuff, but there's only so much quietness you can have. You need that bit of action. It for me, when we first heard it, when me and you lad played, it was, we were excited. We're hearing artillery go off, and it gives it a bit of suspense. And when we heard that first heli crash, we sprinted towards it. Then it's just fantastic. I don't think it's too bad at all, because it doesn't happen every 10 minutes. It's usually the airstrikes are far away, so you can barely hear them. You're only going to hear a heli crash every once in a while.
Then again, to be fair, after that restart, we found another crash. So I mean,
we didn't hear it though.
No, that's very true. We did not hear it.
Yep.
But yeah,
I like the sounds too. I think I agree with it's too quiet when you're playing. It's you go around and I have friends who essentially sound whores, right? They turn their in-game volume all the way up so they can hear the smallest little footstep, right? And there's you fire a gun beside them, they almost want to kill you because they heard it too loud now. But I think adding these noises and stuff like that will just help kind of add to the ambiance, as well as kind of help players and stuff hide themselves even potentially, right? You had the noise goes off, it might distract from that. Oh, did I hear a footstep? Oh, I heard an explosion. Maybe it wasn't, maybe I didn't hear what I heard or something like that. But I like the extra noises. I like sounds. I like that's one thing I loved about Namal's when they released it, is those ambient noises that were there a lot of the times and things like that. So having more noises in the game is nice.
The other thing I love, lad, is now, I don't agree that it's too noisy now. I think it's awesome. It's added a bit of life to the server. All those ambient sounds, trees, and especially when I was in a town earlier when I was playing before the podcast, and I heard the artillery in the distance, and straight away I was like, is it going to fucking land on me? Oh my fucking God. It's just, I love hearing that extra noise, something else that gives you a bit of stimulus. It's not just a creaking of a tree or a bird chirping or something like that, something that gets you thinking, oh shit, and okay, where am I going to go if it does land on me?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's I absolutely loved the pure silence of previous patches. I love it, and I'll always say that the ambience of 0.59 was probably, it's the most, nostalgic sound I could ever hear, and I just wish I could fucking actually get a solid recording of that again and just listen to it because it's so good. But with 1.14, it is definitely a nice change of pace to have, the artillery. Yeah, sure, you could hear it in 1.13, and I always love the aura of mystery. It's like, I had a running theory in my mind. It's like, we had the artillery in 1.13, but maybe that wasn't obviously for Chernarus itself. Maybe it was for the rest of South Zagoria. So maybe the running kind of story is that they are sweeping across the entirety of South Zagoria to cleanse the infection. And now in 1.14, it's finally hit the Chernarus region, which is why we're getting all the actual artillery aspects of it. But it's not only the sounds that I absolutely love; it's the actual visuals of it. And I talked to you about it, Mark, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure I talked about it to DOJ, but the actual look of the game is different in this patch. Like, it's still colourful, it's still vibrant, but there's something different about it, and I can't quite put my finger on it, and the overall feel that the game is now leading into, with not only the sounds but the visuals. Heck, even the helicopters have been completely fucking redone now in terms of textures, and it's like, it's so good, and it's bringing DayZ out there, and it's really enriching the entire experience. And maybe, this is really a fucking stretch, but maybe when Infusion properly comes out, maybe there's going to be like a back patch or back port or port for or whatever for DayZ to take advantage of these features. That would be really fucking cool. That Infusion offers. Maybe the game will get that, kind of like how Armor got a visual upgrade quite some time ago. Maybe something similar happened then, but in terms of sounds, I can't complain. I really cannot complain.
No.
Go on.
On the visual thing that you were saying, with the Russian helicopters that have been redone and everything, I wonder, with them hiring new artists and stuff like that, I don't know if they're just hiring them for promotional material, or if they're going to actually hire them to, maybe they're going to update some of the buildings.
Yeah, they've done it in the past.
Spruce up the game. They have. So it's like, I wonder, are they going to improve more of the buildings or add new ones in, or so many different things they could do now. It'd be great if they did that as well.
To be fair, they upgraded the barn, and they upgraded a couple of the housing textures and whatnot to use higher resolution textures, because the max resolution set that DayZ supports right now is 2K. It can technically use 4K, but there's literally zero benefit apart from looks. But even then, in terms of actual performance, it's just not good. It's just not good. Yeah. So I would really, really like to see a more of a graphical overhaul within reason what DayZ can do in future patches. Really update the old outdated assets to really bring it to life, to make DayZ look much more authentic like it used to back in Alpha, because it had that gritty sound, it had that gritty feeling to it, but now it's not so much, but it's slowly getting back to it. So maybe, hopefully,
even the weapons could be, updates the base. A lot of them are nice, but they could give more detail, made look, like you said, more gritty and stuff, make it look like they've been used, even in a pristine condition, that way. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. I will say, you can definitely tell that the M16 and the FAMAS were done much, much later compared to other guns, because they've got a certain look to them, a certain glossiness to them compared to other guns. I feel, I could be just talking out my ass there, but even then, they look good, and the guns look really good. Some of the melee weapons can definitely use a little bit of love to get to higher quality. But heck, we've already seen that the DayZ devs are serious about really upping their game, because the leaked A3 model, the OG model, I should say, with being the A3 variant, it looks bloody brilliant. It looks so nice.
Yeah.
And that's still got that kind of glossiness effect that the FAMAS and the M16 has.
I got to say though, Demon, I want some more civilian weapons, mate. in the vanilla version of the game. I want some more bolties, maybe a DMR or two, but some more lower caliber entry-level guns with variety. You know, bring back the fucking trumpet, for Christ's sakes, even the rack.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things when you're playing vanilla, like getting a gun is like super hard and rare. And I think a lot of servers try to solve that by, especially modded servers try to solve that by making military guns, right? And they're all accessible everywhere or, super easy to find. And I've never really liked that. I like I think more civilian guns would make more sense, especially in the kind of where we are at, right? In DayZ and stuff like that. Like the likelihood, if the apocalypse happened, the likelihood of you finding military grade guns probably next to zero. Well, I should live in the States, but if you live anywhere else, you're more likely to get more civilian style guns, more variety. I'd love to see, maybe more in like older guns as well, like guns that, maybe a little older style. Things that people would probably have, as collector's items or something like that. Be kind of interesting to see. And more kind of civilian style guns that are available more easily to help new players who get started out, especially for hunting and things like that. Like, if you can't find a gun, you can't really hunt, other than maybe chickens, right? So finding
which
a
can
gun
now pick up,
really
thankfully.
Yes, yes, that never really made sense before. I'm kind of sad that they didn't actually put the rabbits in properly too. They just spawn when the trap gets triggered. Hopefully they'll add actual rabbits, but it's going to be I think more vanilla or more civilian style guns, because I don't even think there's very many mods out there that add civilian guns. There's only a handful that even really do. Most of them add military grade guns. And I know PvP servers, it's
M200,
awesome.
Shaytacs, and fucking Sniper Macmillans, and God knows what else.
Everything that one hits you, even with like full body armor.
Mm-hmm.
I never really liked guns that could one shot somebody with full body armor. Again, when you're talking about DayZ, although to be fair, I guess if you got shot by any major gun in the chest, you'd probably die regardless of its caliber. But if you weren't wearing a vest, so I think there's some realism that some people take consideration there. But
no, look, I always point to it's a stat that I don't like talking about too much because it is kind of gory and black. But look at in combat. Look at how many people get wounded as opposed to how many people actually die. So yes, you've got to take into account that this is a post-apocalyptic world, and there's no access to critical trauma units and so on. But it's not as common as people think. It's not instant, I shot you in the chest, you are going to die instantly. It always makes me laugh when I see people, I shot him in the fucking chest, why isn't he dead? Bullets don't work that way, mate.
No, it's just like, for sure. It's the same reason why, if you look at the police officers, they're trained to unload their mag into a person regardless, right? That's the standard training, because you're not going to drop them by shooting one shot into them, right? I know this is getting a little more controversial, but at the end of the day, there are, people who every time, someone gets shot and they're like, why did you shoot them 10 times? Why not just take one shot at the person? And it's like, because the training is to unload the entire mag, because likely one shot isn't going to kill them. One shot isn't going to stop them in their tracks, right? One shot isn't enough. So, you need to kind of, put everything you can into the person, like, everything you can. You have to unload the gun to actually give your highest chance of, hitting your target, actually, doing enough damage to stop them in their tracks. And I think, that's very true. Like, I think, but like, too many guns out there, a shot to the foot kills you because, they put the damage on the bullet to, 10,000, right? And the player's health is only 100, right?
Someone said, what's an example of a civilian weapon that they could add? My son was telling me about a certain type of rifle. I can't remember what it was, but it's quite popular in Europe and Eastern Europe. And it's a double-barrel shotgun that has a rifle barrel in the middle of it. I'm not sure if this is it, but just even the Lee Enfield, the Kar 98, some of the old classic rifles that are surplus to the region. The Lamass, great, we've got a gun in there, but even from the law perspective, when you look at armour law, there's no real mention of the French being involved. So how is the Lamass there? I would love to see some,
The VZ 58, I know it's not a civilian gun, but like another different AK type that can't take a sight would be kind of cool. As well.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that, just
laser.
Different unique
I think
guns.
This is the one. Yep, I think this is it. Combination guns. So you've got 2 barrels of shotgun, and 1 barrel for, so basically it's like a blaze, but without the double round from the 308. 2 barrels of shotgun for up close, and 1 barrel for shooting at a distance or something like that. Yeah, but no, the Lamass, it's great it's in because it gives us the bullpup, and it's the first multi single burst and full auto. But yeah, I'd love to see some more civilian options in the game. Morty's saying there is a weapon mod out there that has most of the ones you guys just mentioned. So there you go. But it'd be good to see them come across to vanilla, Morty. I
would love to see more civilian kind of. I wouldn't. Well, how would I explain it? I would love to see more Russian weapons based on kind of like a Lee Enfield era. I wouldn't mind seeing a shorter Mosin that you can get, because there was the 2 different versions. You had the long one, and then you had the much shorter one, the carbine version, which I used during a World War II reenactment, and it's so nice to use. I would like I said, I'd like to see a Lee Enfield. I would like to see more of an emphasis on submachine gun for police forces like the RAC. I would love to get that back again, because right now you only have the MP5, the USG, and the AK-74. And the Scorpion, but even then it's like...
look at this one here. Looks like it's got 4 barrels.
Oh, God, Jesus.
One here with 3 barrels of all different caliber sizes. So, something to mix it up. And, a gun like that would be gold in DayZ. What, it takes 3 types of ammo? Fuck yeah, I'm grabbing that bad boy. There's a good chance that weird random ammo that I find is actually going to work in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you could actually do that modding wise, though. Glad you know more about guns and modding there, but I don't think you can have multiple ammo types.
Only one way to find out.
Can't. No,
I mean,
I mean, I've never tried it. I've never experimented with it, because with weapon configs you can have like a bunch of ammunition types. It's how you can have your tracer and a normal ammunition firing from the same gun or the same magazines kind of thing. But fuck's sake,
Ike's got me laughing too.
But with, I mean, I've never tried to make it so you can fit, say, like I don't know, an M4 shooting 7.62 by 39 and 5.56, even though they're not really comparable, as a test. I know I've never really done that, so it would be interesting if that was possible, but I don't think it is.
I think the bigger issue then, if you can do multiple ammo types, there might be some scripting you can do then, but to make it so, because the biggest issue would be what ammo gets fired, right? Generally speaking, it's just the first ammo in the top of the mag, right? And that's DayZ kind of does all that for you behind the scenes. We don't really have to do anything to get that working. So to override that, to force which chamber got fired, it would be the trickier part. Then
you'd have to look at how the double barrel shotgun or the blaze functions, because they're the only weapons that have like 2 barrels in one. So you probably have to look into how they function in terms of config and script. I doubt you'd be able to add more than 2. But even
Yeah, and
then,
if even two of different kinds, I don't know if that would even be possible.
I mean, you can definitely have a slug and a buckshot in one, for example.
Yeah, but do you get to choose
it's-
which one you fire? Because you don't get to choose which side of the barrel files first, right?
There's an interesting
always
challenge for you, modders.
one on
There's
the
an
left.
interesting challenge. See if you can make it happen. Well,
It's
you know,
always the one on the
like
left.
someone said in chat, they
and then
didn't
the
even know that combination guns were a thing. I'm not sure if I'd ever heard of them before, but my son mentioned it to me yesterday when we were talking about DayZ. Morty's saying you can do multiple ammo types, so you can do an over/under with buckshot and 308, for example. There we go. That'd be something really novel to have. You know, it'd be great if they added it to vanilla DayZ, but you know, just something. It'd be nice to have a weapon pack that doesn't add 5 million fucking combat rifles and 2 civilian style ones. Something that you know, server owners can play with what you find along the coast and you know the tier 1, tier 2 areas. But
yeah, like weapons like a Tokarev. That would be really, really nice to have. It's just another little weapon converted to 9mm. There you go. You got another 9mm civilian weapon that will function similarly.
What
to
about
an 11?
What about a 9mm conversion kit on an M4? So you can get those, or on an AUG. You can get them as well.
Yeah, I mean, that would turn them into SMGs. But,
yeah,
I
it'd be
mean,
technically a police force type weapon.
yeah,
that could work, actually.
You know,
It'd be interesting to see that type of, especially in vanilla, more vanilla plus servers where you know guns are hard to come by. You know, getting a conversion kit, like maybe the conversion kits are like, you know, if you look at a vanilla plus style server, maybe there's a trader, you can't really buy guns, but maybe you can buy the conversion kits or something like that, and that'll make things easier to find or obtain.
Now, moving along, something that got me excited during the week and I got shut down very, very quickly was this.
oh yes, the absolute nothingness of Survivor Games.
Survivor Games. A man can dream. A man can dream. I saw someone tweeted me and said, "Boydie, why are they still updating Survivor Games?" And I was like, "What the? They're updating Survivor Games?" But I'm still going fucking tinfoil hat here, Marks. Why is Play SG still on the launcher?
It's probably either too difficult for them to remove it from the launcher thing. It probably takes too much hassle or too much requirements.
Fuck off. I've done websites.
They just
I know
couldn't
how
be
easy it is
bothered.
to add a button. I know how easy it is to add a button and to remove one.
So you can just, I know development.
Sorry, what was your second reason? I was too busy brooding. I brought my fuck off.
I was like, the other is they just couldn't be bothered moving it, which is probably a more reasonable option.
Now, what were you going to say, Demon?
My money would be on the second there. Just, you know, someone's not bothering, or it's on a to-do list that someone's now got like, you know, 3 pages deep into, you know, and just can't be bothered. A lot of things require a lot of work to remove when you're talking about true software development, true video game development, things like that. So removing a button, yes, you could do it very easy on your own website. I could do it very easily in a mod. Video game developers, yes, they could do it easily, but to actually do it would have a lot of repercussions in regards to QA testing, you know, making sure it doesn't break anything else. Even though you think it's simple, and it probably is actually simple, the actual policies and procedures and the red tape they have to go through to remove that, you know, and it's probably just more or less someone being lazy, right? Someone out there just being like, is this really
And they probably have
effort?
Lad,
Yeah, they
fuel
probably
my
have.
conspiracy. Fuel my
Well, they have said in
conspiracy.
the past they are going to do it again.
They're not going to do
So-
it.
If they're
Don't build this up.
planning
Actually,
for
the
sure
last
to do
time
something
they
again.
done it, yeah, for the last time they done it, they said that it didn't go as well as expected because it did pretty poorly. But they have said that they're going to learn from what they did and they're going to do it again in the future. But obviously, when that'll happen, it's another thing entirely.
There we go. Ike has confirmed it. Ike has confirmed it. They have entire secret development teams committed to it. That's my fucking theory, and I'm going with it. There is an entirely secret section of Bohemia Interactive working on Survivor Games.
But to be
I feel
fair,
like if they were going to remove it, they would
um,
have removed. If they're going to rebat it later as a surprise, I feel like they would have at least removed the button, right?
no,
And that's why I say it's more likely it's just someone's being lazy, or maybe it is something
Yeah.
they're working on and they don't know when they'll be able to do it again, or if for sure they're going to do it again. So they're just leaving it there because it's easier to leave it there than to remove it. So they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe we'll do this one day. I mean, and
They
keep
probably
this
have
on.
more important things on that list right now to do than Survivor games. Need to get the game working
Yeah.
properly first before Survivor games come along. Did any of you here play Survivor games?
Yes.
yes.
Did any of you notice? I played it as well. Did any of you notice in that Survivor games testing that the zombies AI was different?
Yes.
Yes.
They acted so much better and smoother than they do in the original game.
hmm
So I wasn't just tripping. So why isn't, you'd wonder, like, because I saw that, I was like, holy shit, these zombies look 100 times better than what they do now.
They were a massive threat.
So I wonder, like, why hasn't that AI been moved into the standalone version? Because it would make zombies so much more better, because holy fuck, are they a disaster right now.
To be fair, I think when it comes down to it, the infected that was in the Survivor games, they were also a test for what could potentially come, and then maybe once the Survivor games are actually finished, there was some critical flaw in the background for it, which is why they've never re-implemented it or implemented it at all in the actual base game. I mean,
Yeah,
Howard, there's certain features in the game in Survivor games that is never ever made it to standalone in any shape or form, which is fair enough. I mean, the whole thing was a very interesting look in what the DayZ dev team at the time could do. Well,
Yeah.
even though it was just like a different part of the team. But the matter of fact is, it's like, yes, whereas they have said they are planning, or they may potentially do it again in the future, I don't see it happening anytime soon. There is probably some logical reason apart from just pure laziness, why they haven't removed the button. I mean, if you look in the actual, the DayZ files without opening up the P drive, you actually just go to DayZ. Before, you would actually have a folder called SG, and that was obviously Survivor games, and there would be a bunch of stuff in there, but I don't have it now because moved to the new PC. So even though the button is still there,
Don't think it does anything, does it? Yeah.
No, it
just a placeholder, but it looks like.
I'm actually going to check. Yeah.
It might, what it might do if you press SG, it might just launch up into the main menu.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So I'm pressing play SG now. Yep, it just gives us a an application error. That's it. That's all it does. And it's doing it over and over again. I regret pressing this button. But yeah.
Damn straight, Spud. Damn straight. They're not giving up on my baby. My baby still has legs. Still has legs. One day, Survivor Games will rise and reclaim its former glory. That fucking game reinvented events on Twitch. It was the first game to ever knock League of Legends off the top slot. Fucking awesome. I know you're not a fan of it, Marks, but I still have wet dreams about the old Survivor games. I still go back and watch them from time to time. They're just brilliant. And yes, it does, Ike. Everything goes back into the channel. It enables me to do more giveaways. We're going to be doing a Christmas present for the dev team again this year. So ordering merchandise does help the channel. Speaking of which, we have a raffle to draw, folks. So
yes, that we do.
Let's see who the winner is. And I'll let you count down me pressing the button there, Daemonforge, being the guest.
I'm going to count. Sure. What, from 3?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go, I guess.
Mellow Waltz is your winner. Mellow Waltz, are you in chat, buddy? Type something in chat, buddy. You should have received a DM from the team.
I get pissed.
Mellow Waltz, are you there, mate? Hey, there we go. Can you confirm that you received a message from Streamlabs? All you've got to do, mate, is click on the link, fill out the information, and you will have a DayZ podcast cap, which I am wearing right now on my big ugly head. Sent to you in the mail, mate. Congratulations, buddy. I hope you wear it with pride. Represent. I just wish it was a little bit bigger, but I'm really happy with these hats. Completely rigged. Yes, it was rigged. It was completely rigged.
Recount the vote.
So congratulations, mate. Really, really happy. That's the third one we've given away this week, and we're able to do things like that thanks to our generous supporters over at patreon.com/878survivor.fm and our YouTube members and just anyone who donates or buys merch or anything like that. It should be a DM to you via your Twitch messages, I believe, Mellow Waltz. Is what people have told me it is in the past. So check your whispers. I believe you will have received a whisper from either the 878 Survivor FM account or Streamlabs itself. I wish the models on the site were as attractive as Boydie. Oh, fuck yeah. Imagine how much merch you'd sell with this space.
Oh, yes.
Literally none.
Michael, thank you so much for the super chat, mate. You guys doing things like that. You know, this show's all about giving back as much as we can to the community.
Michael.
Okay, we'll work something out, Mello. I will follow up on that one. Make sure you're in the podcast Discord. But yeah, that should have giveaway history.
Michael, thank you very much for the $25 in the super chat. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much, bud. Much, much appreciated.
What does this do? That's just a sign.
It's YouTube.
Super chat is like bits for YouTube.
But better.
You fucking
YouTube bias. Yeah, whatever. Foul.
No, I don't want to cancel the giveaway. Done. Send me a message in the Discord, buddy, and I will follow up with them. If you could just... I don't know why you haven't received the message, because I had no problem with the two I did earlier this week, so that's weird. That's really weird.
It might be delayed. It could come through in a couple of seconds or a few minutes even. So,
like saying he thinks you're the only live stream he's ever watched on YouTube. But yeah, really, really happy we got to do that. Michael, you've been an absolute fucking Chad so far today, mate. I really, really appreciate the support. Okay, moving on. Cabello, who's in chat, I saw him before. How cool is some of this artwork? Bryuan Sola, concept art, illustration, matte painting. The guy who did the artwork for Livonia actually has some alternatives, and they're all here on his website. Various different styles of artwork.
I absolutely love, the first selection of images and image C. I absolutely love that one. I
was kind of stunned by it. I'll share the link. It was just nice to see. Not a massive talking point, but for pretty much anyone who's in here, you're all fucking DayZ nerds. Something like that. Just nice to see. You can save that, make it your desktop or something like that. It's just, and if you're in the market, I'm not sure. You probably need some serious coin, I imagine. He seems like quite a high quality artist, but you could probably reach out to him and maybe he's got some other stuff gaming related. So if you're in the HD high def metal prints, I know Smoke has a metal print sign that he sells on his stream as well, doesn't he?
I think so. I'm not too sure. I don't really tune in to watch Smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, all of this concept art, it's like, I absolutely love to find out more about the development process for DayZ. Like, I would love for them to do some kind of like maybe a documentary, but maybe like a post or something where they unveil all their like old like concept art and their plans and notes and everything like that to show the actual development process to do that.
We need to get Brian Hicks on, get him to show off all his old
if
stuff
he actually
back in the day.
turns up.
Yeah.
Fucking honestly.
Now,
I mean, that I would love to have more people in the dev team to actually come on to talk to us about that, but that'd be so nice.
I am going to test my new PC thanks to my son. I got some lovely new hardware for my gaming or the streaming PC. And I am going to test something here. We're going to.
Can I say your webcam is looking mighty fine, by the way?
Yeah. That's what he got me for Christmas. For Father's Day. Oh, fuck's sakes! Alerts everywhere. Yes, I accept. Okay, I want to show you guys something, and this is something I would love to see brought across to vanilla. Because I know this is possible on modded servers, but it's especially in light of what we were talking about with DayZ and the gas masks and things like that, about the slots of what you can hold. Now, I am going to have to just do a bit of a play around. You guys, how can I best do this? You're probably just going to have to either watch the stream or watch or just listen to me describe what I'm doing here. Thankfully, it doesn't look like I need to do any updates.
No, I was just about to say you can grab the capture window for the game and resize it to the panel. So
I'll wait until I get into the menu and then I can. That might be better. Because there is an item that they have on the DayZ Down Under server that I absolutely love. And thankfully my character on the DayZ Down Under server has a few of the variants. We're just waiting 9 seconds. Yeah, I'm really pushing it. Okay. Escape.
Starting to see the smoke coming from the PC. It's just a little bit.
Options, video, windowed. No.
Yeah, so in OBS or Streamlabs OBS, whatever you use, just unlock the actual source for it, for the game that you're using, and then just reduce the size of that in OBS instead of the game.
Or you can just go to your normal game scene.
Just do that,
I might just do that. I'll just drag the display capture over the top of the podcast so you guys can see this. Now, what we have is a potato, which has nothing to do with what I want to show you. Have a look at my belt. I also have a water bottle that I can put there. Now, there are other items that you can find that you can actually place onto. I don't think you can replace the... no, you can't replace the holster. But Spud has created different items that you can use on that slot. Now, I imagine you could add more slots. For those who've ever been in the military, what it basically does, it just enables a bit of versatility. Now, someone I saw somewhere said about, wouldn't it be great if you could actually attach the medical pouch that you find, the big bright red medical pouch, to the tactical belts? I think that'd be a great fucking idea. And this is, this item's called a map pouch. I did have another one, which was a smaller one, but it just gives you options as to what you want to carry on your tactical belt to mix it up. So you could maybe have a gas mask holder that, I've seen it done before where it can be set so that only certain classes of items are able to be put into that storage item. That would be amazing for vanilla DayZ, so that you could actually customize your belt. I know for a fact you can fit more onto a web belt like this. We used to, they've even got it set up wrong. We used to have, you pretty much put nothing more forward than the hips on your character, so that when you go to ground, none of the pouches on the front are getting crushed underneath you when you went to ground and laid on your guts. But we would have magazine pouches, then we'd have a water bottle, then we'd have a bum pack, more magazine pouches, and maybe another water bottle. We'd carry 2 water bottles on us. It'd be great if they actually implemented that in the game. Maybe only for the tactical belt. The civilian belt doesn't have that option. But I just think something like that, I'm going to exit out of it because I'm not sure how my stream is going. But
Actually,
something like
honestly, your stream's been going lovely.
Okay, that's good to know. But that would be absolutely fantastic for the game. Especially now with the need to carry all of this extra gear on you. I just think that would be something amazing. What do you reckon, Demon? Is that doable?
Oh, well, obviously, yeah. Like, it's easy enough to do all these type of different slots. Obviously, vanilla could implement it just the exact same way that modders can. And the biggest issue with slots and stuff like that is conflicts. A lot of mods don't.
What do you mean by? Okay, you're explaining it. I'll shut up and let you talk.
Yeah, so it's okay. So there's a lot of so slots aren't really addable dynamically. So when you make a mod to add item slots to an item, you have to add all the slots have to be defined in the single mod. So and I know there are a lot of modders out there who take that into consideration and are very thoughtful about that. It's not always the case, but 9 times out of 10, and if you let the person know, they're usually pretty good at taking that into consideration for you and stuff like that. But essentially, so there are ways for modders to work around it, but it does get more complicated the more types of things you try to add slots to, because again, slots are defined static, set. They're not oh, I want to add 3 new slots to this item. I can just add 3 new slots. I have to say, all right, here's the 7 slots. And I've seen mods even forget vanilla slots, and all of a sudden that breaks something, right? And yes, the modders are usually pretty good to go back and fixing it. It just, the more and more mods that adjust slots, the more and more conflicts you're going to have, the more and more bloat that you might have to your mod to accommodate all the other modders, or you have to get a standardized naming structure for all the slots. And I know, some modders have talked about, why not just have a framework or some other master mod that kind of controls all that. But, it gets messy. And again, then who controls that? Who updates it? Who's the one who can dictate what slots you can have where and such? It does get kind of hard to kind of play with and work with. But it is doable. And, server owners who are creating custom mods for their server, it's a lot easier for them to account for all that, right? Because they can essentially just make a mod that has all the slots that they need. And if they add a new mod, they just update their own mod to be compatible with the other mods that they are adding. But yeah, as a modder, it's one of those things that are kind of annoying to work with. And we wish DayZ would add a way to dynamically add slots, or things that are dynamically utilize slots. But that just has yet to happen. We add slots, or things are dynamically.
Yeah, because when you, so for vanilla stuff, you can't just add in. Technically, yes, you can just add in a slot, but if you want the item to appear, you can't actually do that. So the way that modder, whoever's done that map pouch, the way they've done it, they have made sure, because it uses the water bottle slot, that it uses the similar or exact positioning of a canteen to actually go on there. And, and there might be some weird placement issues with the medical pouch, for example, which is probably why no one has done it properly. Like, yes, sure, it can go on, you can make it go on, but it might be like the front of it, instead of facing towards like out to like away from your hip, like a water bottle does in the game, it might actually clip into your body and face forwards or something like that. I faced a very similar issue when I was creating the elbow flashlight for my flashlight mod. I was using a chem light slot, and if you were to have it facing forward, when it's connected, it would face towards like the back right of your body, in your hand. I now know of a different way to go about it, but I basically overrode it by creating a strap that goes in the chem light slot, and then creating a proxy for that, for the actual flashlight to appear to face forward. So when you have the flashlight in your hand, yeah, all that kind of shit. And it's like there's a lot of different steps that you have to take to make sure that it is compatible overall. But obviously, if you make something completely from scratch, then do what the fuck you want. It's so easy to do.
Yeah, it would definitely be easier to make a brand new tactical belt and re-add everything that way instead of having it where you're trying to mod the vanilla tactical belt. And it is probably, outside of getting a texture and a model for a tactical belt, which I think would be relatively easy to obtain. Like that'd be the most annoying part of doing it. But then you would have more control about where proxies and different things and go. Proxies, that's one thing I struggle with personally. I really don't do 3D modeling or proxies or any of that stuff. So I know how complicated that can be. I've tried to dabble in it a few times for some mods that I wanted to work on. I usually end up just getting someone to help me with it or do it for me. Like to pull in some favors kind of thing when I need help with that type of stuff. But yeah, it definitely is possible. Like if you look at a mod that does that already, the modular vest system mod,
which is now open source.
Yeah, which is awesome. I saw that was now open source and all that stuff. That was great to see because I'd love to see more mods going open source and more mods looking for, community contributions and stuff like that. I got it on top of Wardock again because he mentioned one time he was going to try to make a way for like GitHub to automatically like publish your mods for you when they're updated and stuff like that. And I want to try to hold him to that. I don't know if that will actually come through. I've thought about doing that myself as well because that could be great for the community, especially for modders who want to step back from the community for a while. Like if I ever wanted to take like a 6-month break, it would be really nice to potentially have a way for, other modders to maybe help out and contribute to the code and have it kind of automated, right? Test and do all the standard stuff for the mod and then have it automatically publish, right? And automatically get sent over to a, like to the workshop and stuff like that. And I know there are ways to do that with GitHub and stuff like that. I just don't really have the time in the day to do that and everything else I want to do.
Might want to fix the positioning of the screen, body.
Oh, did I move it? I did.
Yes, you did.
Sorry, I'm just trying to sort out Mellow Waltz's prize in the background here while you guys are chatting and I'm listening. So keep on chatting away.
That's all right. So what else? Oh yeah, so more gear needs to be ruined from shots like it used to be. I mean, yes, I definitely think so. I think like if you fucking spray and pray somebody down, you kind of, how would I say, like you spray and pray somebody down, don't expect to get much gear from them, or at least it's going to be in a really bad state. It's just,
Yeah, so actually someone sent something, I don't know if something they wanted or thought about, see if it was possible, and I thought this was a really cool idea. I think it would be cancer for a lot of the PvP servers and stuff like that. But I think for some survival servers, they would love that kind of thing. And maybe I don't want to give away this person's idea here. It was not my idea. This is not something that I thought of. Mass actually came to me with the idea, asking if it was possible. So I want to make sure he gets the credit there.
I love how you guys all work together. I fucking love that. You guys, for the most part, I know there's some, there's always going to be division somewhere, but you modders, I fucking love how much you all support each other.
Yeah, no, and I love that too. But yeah, so the idea pretty much was around the idea of as clothing gets ruined and as items get damaged, you actually start losing slots on them, right? So you start, potentially, little pieces of something we get block a slot. Maybe an attachment would fall off or something like that. You wouldn't be able to hold it depending on the state. Adding a bit of randomness to it to make it so like not every single time that something like that happens that you have this. So I think it's kind of like I thought it was a really cool idea, and I know I don't really have the time myself to do it, but yeah, something like that I think it'd be very useful, especially it'd be easier for something like vanilla to take care of that because there's certain aspects of that idea that would be hard for a modder to kind of obtain around what slots are chosen to be blocked. We have limited capacity to pick a random slot in someone's inventory. We can pick an open slot and get the next open slot, but then if we want to pick a random open slot to say block, and then you have to now think more about where your gear is going, how you're going to position the gear. Because another thing too, I would love to see some type of mod, where the backpack space is a little more realistic, right? So there is a mod
that does that. I think
DanceofJesus.
Yeah, it is DanceofJesus. I was going to say that. And he's even, if you could get a link for that one, lad, because he's got that lovely fucking image of showing what you can fit into a mountain backpack normal versus what you can. I'd love to see a mod where you can turn off your wife. Oh my fucking god! Oh my god! But yeah, it's brilliant. Here's one. It really is fucking hardcore. You are literally looking at every item, going, "Do I want to carry that? Do I need to carry that?" And for someone like myself, who loves being a loot whore, I was really stuck with analysing just what I could carry. But I like what you were saying, Demon, about having certain things only able to take certain items. Like, it's always frustrated me. You look at the chest the pouches for a chest plate or a plate carrier, and people are putting a cooking pot in there. They're not designed to hold a cooking pot. They're designed to hold a magazine. I would love to see. I know some people would hate it, but I would love to see, whether it be a mod or, praise the Lord if they ever introduce it to vanilla, that you had to utilise items the way they're meant to be, not putting a FAMAS into chest pouches.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Mass has already done that to an extent on Spearhead. With the mod that we worked on. He even in an MMIO, he restricts certain items based on a certain class from going in. It's going in the bag. It's like NBC bag. You literally are only allowed to put NBC clothing in there. The clothing bag, you're only allowed to put clothes in there. In his dresser, you're only allowed to attach clothes, and in the drawers themselves, only clothes can go in there. And come back. was that another blue moment?
So I guess if he's not here, we're not actually streaming, are we?
I'm back.
There we go.
I just shared something I shouldn't have. I hope to God he's fucking redeemed it. I'm not hearing from Mellow Waltz now. I'm hoping he's redeeming the prize now because I just shared the prize link.
But as I was saying, yeah. So yeah, Master's mod, like he already does it. The pistol case is only allowed to put ammunition in magazines inside it, stuff like that. Like fuck off. So the potential for it to happen is there. It's just Masters probably is the best person to talk about that, to maybe restrict items like, I don't know, like the plate, like the plate pouches, to restrict only magazines in there, for example. Stuff like that, or the cooking pot where you can only put food in there. Same with the frying pan, or the ammo box, like the big ammo crate box, whatever you want to call it. They're there. Like you can only put ammunition in them. Like the potential is there. It's just a matter of somebody actually going for it.
Yeah, and I know. Yeah, it's very easy to restrict what item goes in a pouch. Where I was thinking more about was around the idea of like, if you got that big mountain backpack, you've got all these little side pouches that have like small little pieces of spot. I'd love to see. I know you can do it. The way I would think about doing it as a modder would be to create actual pouches that get added and locked on, so you can't remove them. Because right now you can't really create multiple cargo spaces on a single item. And seeing more mods do something like that, where because that's what I loved about like those modular vest systems and things like that. And this, those pouches are kind of added in. You can mismatch them and stuff like that. But seeing like something like a vanilla, like or a backpack where you can actually use those little side pouches properly, and kind of makes you more think about where you're storing things outside of just one giant pouch, right? You have like giant, like you have that one big area that maybe won't be as big, right? So you look at it and you're like, okay, this backpack only has like a 40 by 50 slot in the middle, but you have all these little like 2x5 and 2x4 slots kind of on the sides of them, and in there, so you could like put little bits of pieces in there. And I think that would be very useful for a lot of people. I know if you look at like PvP servers, a lot of them.
Well, Marx is our resident PvP player. What do you think of this, mate? Is it something that you would go, this is fucking annoying, or is this something that you think would enhance the game?
On a PvP server, it wouldn't work at all. Survival, it depends, right?
I think you get to look at each one. So, like, I think the reality would be you probably wouldn't get rid of all the existing backpacks either. It'd be like, do you pick this one backpack with one giant, 8x10 slot, or do you pick the backpack with a 10x5 slot and then a bunch of 2x5s and 2x4 slots, and look at that, right? As a player, it would just provide you with some more options in regards to how you play the game and where you store your gear. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like PvP servers would be a lot harder because a lot of times that giant 10x10 backpack is just full of guns, right? They literally just have 4 guns in their backpack, right?
I don't think many people would like this mod unless you're a hardcore survival type server.
Spud cracks me. Sorry,
otherwise
cracks me up. I have a 50-liter backpack IRL. That's basically the mountain backpack, and it can hold like 3 socks and an MRE. It's nothing like the game at all. But yeah, I get people
and
will
at
be
the end of the day,
with it, like Spud saying, Marks.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as well, it's also a game. You don't want to go too realistic to the point where you're kind of like you're suffering, making choices IRL because of this. You want to have your fun at the same time.
Says you. Me, I fucking love shit. I live for shit like this. I was so happy when I discovered hardcore backpacks. That anything you put in your backpack you can't access in your inventory. That is just one of the best mods, and something I think should be in vanilla. Just a basic little function that provides an entry level to inventory prioritizing. If you don't need it to be on your hotbar, don't put it in your backpack. If you need it to be on your hotbar, don't put it in your backpack. It's one of the best mods out there.
It definitely does depend on the player, and that's why I love DayZ, because you have your vanilla game, which is like the absolute bog standard of what DayZ represents, and then you have all the the modding support, like Mark's, like he says, and I quite agree with him. With PvP servers, that idea would not work, but for more
No.
servers that are like going for like a hardcore survivalist aspect, it would work, especially when your players understand the point of what you're trying to do. Like with Spearhead, their players understand that you can't do certain things with certain items, and that's perfectly fine. Whereas if you were to play on Sunnyvale, Trump's Wall, The Hideout, whatever, or even heck, Extricate, having that kind of restriction would potentially piss off your players, and that's
Yeah.
Kill a server.
Yeah.
It could
Horses for
potentially kill
courses.
so it does.
Horses for courses. But I think hardcore backpacks would make a nice entry level for the game that most people could understand and tolerate, because I think everyone's been killed by someone whipping a fucking AR out of their backpack in seconds, faster than you can get it off of your arms.
Well, it's funny you it's funny you should say that, Boydie. In what was it, 113, they made it so if you have a weapon in your backpack and you pull it out, it doesn't just magically appear in your hands. It does the animation of of it being on your right shoulder, so it's like the longest animation.
I didn't know that. That's good to know. That's good to know.
They've already counted it. Yeah, so don't need to worry about that anymore. But it can still be a bit of a problem. But even when you put the weapon away...
What about when it's in your pouches, though? What about if it's a UMP and it's in your pouches, or a double-barrel shotgun? Is that still a fast animation?
The same process. I believe it's the same process where it does the animation. But I will have to double-check to see if it does that in 114. So... But yeah, that's... But again, it all comes down to the player preference and the server preference and what they want to go for. If the server wants to go for that, deathmatch PvP server, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of mods out there to cater for that. But for servers who want a more survivalist, hardcore, heck, or even a casual survivalist experience, the modding support for that is also there. And DayZ is a canvas. You got, like I said, you've got your base canvas, which is obviously the base game, and then you've got everything else that can go into it to make it what you want to be.
Yeah.
And that's the magical thing about it. 2-3 years ago, nobody would have ever thought of the stuff that Daemonforge is making for working in DayZ, and you wouldn't think that keycard mods would be in DayZ. You wouldn't think of all these weapon mods or vehicle mods coming into DayZ in the state that they're in the advances. Heck, nobody thought that what Namolsk does with the orbs and the land tier and everything like that would be fucking possible, but it is. And the modding community continues to enhance and just bring out the best of the community, I think. But again, like I said,
sorry, you were going to say?
Yeah. I was just going to say, that's my favorite part about DayZ in general right now, and pretty much from before with Arma 2 mod. DayZ was a mod, right? It was an add-on for Arma, and it was, it was expanding what the game could be, and people rethinking everything that, a game like Arma could be with DayZ. And then DayZ comes out, and now, there's people trying to make DayZ more like Arma was. And that's perfectly fine in my opinion. It's less about DayZ as a game and more about the fact that DayZ is a platform. It's more of a platform than it is a game. It's to me, a lot of times you look at it, it's almost like your own little game engine with some basic features already built in, so you don't have to build them all from scratch, right? The amount of stuff you can do in DayZ is phenomenal. As long as you have the time and the effort to put into it, you can pretty much do anything you want with DayZ, really. Yes, there are more limitations than if you use something like Unreal Engine to make a game in regards to what we can do with some of the parts and some of the things that people don't like about it. But that's also what you get for having such a base platform, right? How many engines do you start off with a map already there for you, right? How many do you start off with 100, 50, 100 different buildings available for you just already, and items already there for you to start with, right? So it's kind of a way for developers to make their own little private games and look at servers like XDK, right?
They give us a blank canvas to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing I love about DayZ, and one thing I love about modding for DayZ. And I personally am trying to push the boundaries of what we can do with DayZ, so we can do more and think further. I'm limited in my abilities, and that's why I do rely on and work with other modders. I'm not a 3D modeler. I can't do textures. I'm not really that good at importing objects and stuff like that. That's why I work with others to kind of help me. Like Dumgra helps me import all the models for the raid alarm mod, right? Also my basic bomb mod that I did, and I can't creep creep. I can't remember how he pronounces. I think it's crep. He helped me with my Hive ATMs and making the ATM model, and helped me import all that. So there's modders out there who help out, and that's what I love about DayZ 2 in the community and the modding community is, and I don't think everyone should do one thing. Look at real game development.
It'd get boring. It'd get real fucking boring. That's why so many games die. They're so pigeonholed into one element only. But we need to move on, and I need to fire up Marks. Marks is going to get really fucking fired up with this next topic. More gear needs to be ruined from shots like it used to be.
No. What a fucking stupid, retarded fucking... No. No. It's dumb. It's the stupidest... No, it's stupid.
No, it's not. I completely, 100% disagree with you. I think it needs refining, but... if you pump a fucking Sega shotgun, 20-round drum mag into someone at point-blank range, there should be next to nothing left of their gear, depending, again, on where you shoot them. If you shoot them from the front, maybe not so much what's in their backpack, but if you shoot them from behind, you have shredded fucking almost everything on their back and their fucking backpack and all the rest of it. I think it frustrates me because right now, even if you were to get an AKM with a 75-round drum mag and unload half of that into a player, that's a penetrating round. That's going straight through the body, and that is, unless they've got maybe chest armor on. But I think there is scope for this to work as a way of discouraging people from just pure PvP. It's something that could be modded out, for the more PvP servers. But I temper that with, at the same time, Marks, like when we were talking about it in chat, you and Moonshine were very vocally opposed to it. Moonshine more because he felt that if he feared that his gear would be ruined if someone shot him, he's more inclined to shoot the other person first. My avenue is I think it should reward players who place their shots better, Marks, as opposed to just spray and pray.
I don't think so. It wouldn't work when... So you have to think about it in two different ways. Maybe, you could try and reward that on PC because we have a more accurate... we can aim with a mouse. We can be more kind of pinpoint. But if you're on console, you can't... it won't work because you can't... There is no aim assist or anything with a controller on console. From what I've heard from people saying how bad it is when you get into PvP in console, you can't be accurate on console. It's just pure spray and pray. So I think if that was like a thing in vanilla where they added where gear just gets ruined, console players would be...
Marks, are you actually caring about the console community right now? Is this a change in your attitude?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Because you
secretly love them, don't you? You secretly you play on an Xbox and a PS5. You just don't want to admit it, do you?
Yeah. You've gotten me 3 million views so far. I love them to death. But you have to look at it from that way. Like,
I didn't even consider that, so that is a good point.
Yeah, it's just not possible. I think that's why it was probably removed.
Yes, it used to be. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a prime thing in alpha. Stuff like that. If you would get shots and your inventory is full, like a vest is full or your top is full, it would always be the items on the top rows that would get like damaged to ruined, and then it would gradually go down. I mean, heck, if you get hit by infected nowadays, there is a chance that your gear, the stuff in your inventory will be ruined or even damaged. So the potential for it is there. I still agree that it should, that gear should get damaged when you get shot. maybe depending on like the kind of item, maybe if it's something like matches or something that can be considered fragile, like paper material or like a soft plastic material, like a heat pack or shit like that, then they should get ruined. But more stubborn stuff, they should get like damaged or badly damaged. So even when you kill that player and you take their loot, you still have to go away to repair what they have. So yes, sure, you have got gear. You might have got better gear from that person, but you still have to make sure that you are taking care of that gear. You can't expect it to be completely pristine. But that's
the situation here, right? Say you spot a player and you're desperate for some type of gear that they might have. Say you're trying to find bandages or something. You're not bleeding yet, but you don't have any on you, and there's a risk at any minute of a zombie coming up, hitting you and getting cut, and then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Say you're out in the middle of nowhere, there's no houses around or anything like this, right? It's just a hypothetical, but just go with it. You try and line up an accurate shot with your Pioneer or your Mosin or whatever, and you miss, or you hit him, but he doesn't react, or doesn't injure, and he runs off, or he runs towards you and starts spraying you.
Mm-hmm.
You then have to get into an actual gunfight with him where you're not at that moment in time being more accurate because he's spraying at you. So what are you going to do back? You're going to try and spray at him, just kill him quick so he doesn't shoot you. So say then you kill him after you spray him down or whatever, and you go over to his body, and like you were saying, lad, where say plastic stuff or rags or stuff like that get damaged very quickly. He goes to his body then, and say he hits you as well with a round or two and you're bleeding once or twice, and you go to his body then, and you desperately need rags, and you go into him and all his rags are ruined and all his bandages are ruined, his blood bags are ruined, his saline bags are ruined.
I mean,
it'd be no point in making me uninstall the game.
The flaw in that logic is that if you go into a firefight where somebody's got a fully automatic weapon and you have a Mosin and you're going face to face, like literally, you're a fucking idiot.
I should have said like you have a Mosin where you take that accurate shot, but then you swap to say your other gun, whatever that be.
Right. Okay.
Hopefully, you'd have some type of automatic weapon, because it's happened to me before.
But that's
where
still based on
I've
the decision
into
marks. You made the decision to enter that. You took a gamble, and the gamble didn't pay off. That's consequences. Actions have consequences. Yeah. To me, that example doesn't sell your argument.
I mean, having the ruined loot is it wouldn't. Again, talking here one.
I can understand where you're trying to go for, especially with, taking your play style into consideration. But it's a general kind of like DayZ thing. Like, the game needs more, to me at least, it needs more consequences. It needs more like, yes, sure, I can take this shot, I can be accurate, I can try and get that chest shot or that headshot. I got him, fucking great, I've got his stuff. You miss or you hit him and it doesn't kill him. Shit, right, I need to reposition. I need to make sure that if any infected have heard me, I got to get out the area quickly, sneak away, get into it, like do a wide flank. Say like Crescestaff Airfield, you see somebody go to the field hospital and you take a shot at them, you see that it hits them, it ruins their jacket. That's the potential for them to not be able to heal themselves or like saline or bandages. So it's a two-way kind of street.
There's something else. I want to, it's diverging a bit here, but I would love to see it when an item gets ruined, that it dumps all the inventory as well. Because at the moment, like I had a character where both my pants and my jacket got ruined, and I was still carrying everything. The only disadvantage is if you take that item of clothing off, you can't put it back on again. Plus, you lose that little bit of armor and the heat and all the rest of it. But there's no real penalty for gear being ruined. It still works perfectly okay, Demon.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. I'd like to see, and like with again Lass's idea in regards to making slots unusable in ruined and damaged clothing to kind of, penalize people, and I'd love to see, like, let's say a vest and it gets ruined. I'd love to see the vest drop off, right, or something like that, or maybe have a chance to drop off as you go, right? The more ruined an item is, or maybe items can fall out of a ruined backpack, right? So as you're walking around, it picks a random item from within your backpack and just drops it on the ground, because, a ruined backpack probably has some holes in it and you're probably not going to be able to keep everything in there. that could be a good way to balance like the clothing and such being ruined, and you not like. I know once you take it off, you can't put it back on, but I also really don't believe in that either. Honestly, I think it's kind of
No.
weird that you can leave it on there as long as you want, as long as you don't take it off. Um, you know, and then like but eventually, as soon as you take it off, oh, now this can't even be put on. So I was just wearing this for the last like, if you're looking at in-game time, I've been wearing this for the last like 3 days in game.
I know we're bound by mechanics, but it's something I'd like to see addressed.
Yeah, and there's definitely things modders could do in that end of things. Like you could easily make a mod, well, not easily, but you could make a mod that, like, over time, if an item is ruined, it has a chance to drop items out of it, and then, prevent you from maybe even putting items back in those slots that it dropped out of, right? So, maybe it drops an item, and then those slots are now unusable, right? And that's why I like to see, like, being able to repair clothing and such like that would be really nice, but so then you could repair it and get those slots back, for instance. But if it was ruined, then it's ruined, and you can't really use it as much anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the T-shirt is ruined, the texture should change to show Boydie's face.
That's what I was laughing at. If there's one thing I wish DayZ would do, maybe modders can do it, is depending on the state of an item or weapon or whatever, the actual model changes as well. So say, for example, you have a M4 that's ruined or an AK that's ruined. The barrel is like split apart, the gas tube is like cracked open or something like that, or just some like more textures, so like the barrel's corroded, like with like the fucking suit or whatever from like the gunpowder and shit like that. That would be a nice little detail to have. I'd love to be able to do that.
You can change hidden selections. It'd have to be scripted though. So that's the only thing, and it would get it's the same way base items and stuff like that work too, right? Different selections, and I've done selections for different items before. So like, the barrel could be a selection, and then you can swap out what selection's visible based on that. I'm not sure how well it would work with guns specifically, just because guns are very special in DayZ, I find. I don't know. I've never really played too much with gun models. I played around with some other models and stuff like that, but guns are usually very special, like, very specialized, right? You need to have special like selections already, and you already have all these different things in them to make them work in the first place. So I'm not sure how that could potentially interfere with all that other stuff going on in the background, and all the different views that the guns have with the different like pilot view and all those things. It'd definitely be interesting to try. I think it'd be kind of cool to like have a gun that's barrel. When it becomes ruined, the barrel's like starting getting warped or something like that. Or maybe the handle is kind of got some dents into it instead of just just a texture to make everything look rustier. That's generally what I notice is most stuff when it gets ruined, it just looks rusty, right? That's all that really happens to it. In reality, is most likely it wasn't ruined because it was sitting around being rusted. It's ruined because someone shot it, right? So seeing better mechanics there would be more interesting to see better ruined states that show more damage. I just find the realistic, like, and this is probably where we'd probably need, we can really do as modders, but love to see, spot damage would be kind of cool, being able to like specify where that damage was on the item and kind of matching that up. Sadly, that's not really possible as far as I'm aware. Maybe there's someone out there who knows, but
I mean, the this is going off topic. I know body and marks, I know, but with the actual DayZ character, you have different components for like your hands, pieces of your arm, pieces of your neck, your head, and stuff. You could probably try and use a similar system to make sure it's like it detects which part of the weapon is actually hit, like components 2.6 or something like that, which is like the gas tube of an AK. If that part is hit, then that gun is like, say for example, instantly ruined or at least badly damaged because like the fucking bullet rips through, so all the gas that would expel out is leaking out. So maybe the fire rate is extremely lowered, or like I said, it's just completely ruined. Just stuff like that to really look into. I think that would be a really interesting take to go about it.
Yeah, I think the only problem with that is we take away from the game play access of the game, and that's where I see some of the issues. As much as I love realism and I love adding realism, Like Mark said,
Yeah.
like it's a video game at the end of the day, right? If your video game is making you more frustrated than your real life, you're probably not going to be playing a video game. Most people play video games to get relief from real life, right? And yes, there are
Yeah.
people who love that realism, but they're the minority, right? The majority of players just want to get on, pick up a gun, and shoot it. If it gets hit a few times, sure, it's damaged or ruined. I have to get a new gun, and that's fine for a lot of players. But like, one stray, pistol bullet hits my gun, and now it's ruined. I'm going to be a little upset and probably not really enjoy the game as much as I would. If it was visual, just like, oh, I have my gun got shot and now I got a little visual mark on the side. It's the same amount of damage as before, but now there's a mark where I got hit. I think that'd be pretty awesome. I think most players would agree that would be really awesome. It's just, again, things like that would be, be nice to kind of see. But again, also is like, putting selections all over a gun is a lot of work. Like you're talking, like that would be, the same amount of work. I wouldn't even want to think about how much work that would take me, how many hours I have to spend on a single weapon to get that type of thing put in place. It's doable. It's just, is it worth the effort to do it?
Yeah.
Yes and no.
That's something I temper it with. I know if they put me in charge of the future direction of DayZ, there'd probably be no one fucking playing it, bar a few borderline S&M players who just like punishing themselves. That's something I do temper it with. But I like the idea someone said there. It'd be good if they had, in the official vanilla, a hardcore version. And a few official hardcore servers where they added in some of these more extreme things just to see, if there is a bit of a market for it, for those who want to play a more realistic simulator as opposed to a light sim, more game sort of mechanic. But we can only wish. Folks, we are getting near the end of it. Now, we have got a new segment that, based on some feedback from people, we do have a bit of an audience, and it's slowly growing. So something that I'm very passionate about is sharing the spotlight on people. We've got our little mini spotlights and all the rest of it. And what I asked a bunch of people to do was to upload some clips that we could share on the podcast, showcasing themselves on their channels. So give me 1 second. Let me just open up the first one.
This will be fun.
So we have got an absolute smorgasbord of stuff to watch here. First up, we have Sentinel. Australian driving on a West Coast server. I don't know what we're in for here. This could be a once-off. I may get trolled with some horrible stuff, but I like to think that most people act in good faith. So let us play this clip. Let me get it big screen. Oh dear Lord.
Oh no, I just loaded it.
You just know he's going to get yeeted into low Earth orbit.
This is making me so nervous.
When you get back with it.
You're going too fast, buddy. You're going too fast.
5 minutes, 200 meters. Can you do it?
Oh.
He's getting cocky now.
You can find me as long as it locks it. They can't break it.
Fucking hell.
Cover it up.
Oh, he didn't fly
yeah,
off.
come out now so we can cover
Oh.
it up.
What's going on?
That suspension though, that is fucking...
Oh, I feel let down, Sentinel. I was waiting to see you get yeeted into low Earth orbit or something, or go under the map at least. Okay, what else have we got? Derleth, I posted this as a bug a long time ago. Looked hilarious. The bug was fixed, so it can't be replicated.
That fucking speed, though.
I just noticed that. Yeah, he's flying along.
Like, dude, that show is phenomenal. Oh. Where's it going?
Oh, it fell through the. It fell through the ramp.
What the heck?
First.
Here it comes again. Second time lucky. How?
Oh my god.
Remember, we love this game as buggy and broken as it is. How has this infected not had its legs broken yet?
I don't think the infected can break their legs that way.
Oh, if only.
Okay, that's funny. That's funny. See who got recommended then, Mark? See, I watch your videos, mate. I watch them all.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Roth 2028, lit the fuck up.
Oh god, here we go.
Shh! He's coming! Chuckles! I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. He's hurt. Two of them? I don't know, but one of them's hurt. Quiet, Pickle. This is bad, this is bad, this is bad. He's getting closer, man.
It's commentary.
I think there's two. Yep.
Ouch.
Yes! Ah! Get fucked, son! Oh my god! Holy
that is hilarious.
shit!
Jesus.
Motherfucker! There's his blaze. Oh!
Okay, the description of the video puts it into more context.
Vega! I've got a Vega!
Me and my friends
Alright, hold
got
on
into
to
a
that bitch.
firefight, losing
Oh
one to a
my god,
sniper.
are you hit?
This was
Are
the
you hit?
end result of
Nope,
2 hours
they're
of hiding
empty
and taking pod shots. Okay, I get
Holy shit!
I get the excitement now.
Holy shit!
I get the excitement.
That was fucking class.
What else have we got?
We've got any more?
Wrath 2028 again. No description on this one.
Console, okay.
It's gonna kill them all if I had to guess. They'll crash or something. Or go to space. It's one or the other. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
No, I think they're trying to get the other car out.
Oh, he was right.
Oh, I got a fright then. Oh no, he survived being crushed by that car, he says.
Oh,
Jesus.
fuck.
Syntax. No one goes to Green Mountain. Oh,
Make sure you close the other video.
I'm gonna fucking kill you with it and not to move it on the tree.
Probably no one here.
Yeah, he's fucked.
Who
He's
goes to
fucked.
Green Mountain?
We all know what's gonna happen.
Only dumb-dums go there.
Fucking, I saw it coming. I saw it fucking coming.
they probably just got me copyright struck. I'll have to edit the music out of that. But yeah, that was good. That was good. I'm actually enjoying this. So far, it's been a bit of a success. I should probably screen them throughout the week or something just to make sure it's safe. But okay, that Geordie gaming guy, the stone knife prevails. What do you got for us, Geordie?
What you should do, buddy, as well is maybe like show 5 or 6 a week, so we have more and more every week as well.
Any idea where the Vanguard guys died?
I think it was like right in the middle of town, like right.
Well, I'm going to ask for people to just upload each week.
Church.
Yeah.
Like I'm standing at the church and looking at the front doors. It's to the right.
Okay.
Like on that road.
So what did we get out of that, Hooves?
3,000 nails, all for us.
Wait, 3,000?
About 3,000
Jesus.
nails. We got all those boxes of nails. There was like 25 plus boxes of nails.
Wow.
We didn't get any guns?
We got a ton of guns.
Okay.
Get
You got lucky.
I just cut a guy.
Get
We've all had it happen to us.
What's your location?
Not shed.
The one I died in?
Yeah, he was like AFK or something.
Oh, he just hit the mother load.
I'm heading there.
I'm 1,000 meters out.
We got a couple
Get
M4s, M14, S-Vals, AK-14s.
What did you say, B?
Someone's here.
Oh,
Try
you
this.
win some, you lose some. Oh, dude. Dude. You would be absolutely...
Hey guys, and welcome to another...
You would be absolutely shattered by that one. Oh, oh my God, from hero to zero, or sorry, from zero to hero to zero again. And Geordie again, the congregation sends its regards. What do you got for us, buddy?
Someone's by me. Right in front of me.
The congregation sends its regards.
Dead.
Ouch. Ouch. Oh, Stimpy.
Oh, for fuck's sake,
Stimpy, your thumbnails. Please. Stop making such entertaining videos. What do we got? Bugger, it's the first week. We'll watch them. Designful. He had martyrdom perk. What the hell?
He's on those sandbags.
Yeah. The house goes?
Yeah, he was right there.
Nice, he's done.
He was in a grenade.
That's him?
Oh my God.
How am I not dead?
How are you not dead?
What happened?
No AK, no AK.
I'm kind of low.
How are you not dead?
I don't.
No AK
Has
still.
to
No
have been a
AK
bush
still.
there. Has to have been a bush. No.
Oh.
Wow.
So
That
I don't know how he didn't die.
Got lucky.
Zyzen
Very
said
lucky.
players block explosion damage too.
Okay, Smoking Bro. This one looks interesting. I'm horrible, I know.
Oh, yes, I definitely want to watch this.
Really, bro? I'm new to the game. You shoot me like this? What the fuck?
I'm sorry, man. You look like a guy who just shot at me with a Mosin. Did you not hear those shots?
I have no bullets. Look, I have no bullets in it.
Okay.
Plus, I'm new to the game as well, dude.
All right, sorry. You haven't got a new to the game T-shirt on, mate. I don't fucking know that, do I? God. Fucking welcome to the game, dickhead.
Oh, you get a big thumbs up.
Some people.
You get a big thumbs up. Oh,
Yes.
that's awesome.
What a fucking lad. What a
That is
fucking
good.
lad.
That I will pay that. I will pay that.
When difficult is fun. Okay, yeah, this is the video that we were going to watch.
Hey everybody. Very often we
Is there a PU scope on the board?
No, I don't think so.
You ran to the right?
I think I'm running up behind the guy. There's two guys.
Oh my god, dude! Is there a PU scope on his body?
The amount of times I
You
have
ran to the
done
right?
that is absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Oh God.
Ouch.
Poor guy.
Oh my god, dude! Is there a PU scope on it?
That's good. That's good. Shall I heal these down? Last one. Roth TV, small YouTuber. It's another Twitter one. Oh!
Oh, shit! Oh, shit.
Okay, that was a pretty good little rooftop battle.
That was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, I couldn't see chat then. Players apparently block explosion damage to Zeiss and saying Wobo did a video if I remember. Okay. I actually think this is a good idea. Maybe a few too many then. We need to look at a way to do it, but I liked it. It was good seeing some random videos just to finish on a bit of a positive note. I think my favourite was you're not wearing a fucking a new to the player shirt. Fuck you guys, some people. Definitely my favourite out of those. So I will try to make sure I put links to all of those in the description of the video as well. If you want to go check out those channels, that's why we're doing this. Have a bit of a laugh. See DayZ through some other people's eyes, but also to shine the spotlight on as many different content creators as possible. Don't care if you're big, don't care if you're small. We're just going to put them in there. You just have to be the owner of the clip for us to show it. So it needs to be your clip. You can't do someone else's, just copyright and all the rest of it. The guy that got capped by a friend is your vote, Pindai. But yeah, that was awesome. That was really awesome. We have one other spotlight this week, and that is on Welliton. Let me bring him up.
Welliton again.
How good is this image?
I absolutely love his stuff.
Yeah, he's put in the bullet leaving the projectile leaving the barrel, add a bit of smoke, blur to the background on that. Man, it's like with you modders. Some people sicken me with how artistic they are, Marks.
Yeah, some people are really, really good at it.
I'm going to share a link to it. Let me go back because he said he's going to try to do a weekly assignment, collect 60 likes, and I throw off the next picture. He's sitting on 37 likes at the moment. So if you do the Twitter, folks, head on over there. Give him some love. Let's get him to the 60 likes on that so we can see some more artwork coming out, because I just love stuff like that. I'm a DayZ nerd. Of course I'm going to love it. But there it is shared, and I'll try to remember to share that one in the comments of the video as well, so we can bump him up. And just a bit of encouragement. A like doesn't cost you anything, folks, and it'll probably make his fucking day if we can get him to 60. Anyone got a community that they want to shout out of you three?
I have none this week.
Lad, what about you?
Well, I started streaming again.
Yep.
I kind of want to shout myself out. I just reached 200 followers yesterday.
Good on you, buddy.
Yeah, cool. But apart from that, I there's nothing really. There's the Beehive mod. That's just been released. I think
I saw that one. That looks very intriguing.
Yes, I'm definitely interested to see where that is going to go. I haven't done too much research into it, unfortunately, because I haven't had the time. But I'm really interested to see where, what happens with the possibilities of it. It's definitely going to be really interesting. I want to see how in depth it is. Like, is it going to be as in depth as Dumpgra's Metal Edgy mod? But I love the costume. I love the outfit. It's really nice. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting mod. Rag Tyson and Luke worked on it. So really, really cool modders. And yeah, I just want to shout them out. So if you're trying to play on a server which is really in depth and you want to just try and have a good casual time, then look for a server with that mod on and let them know what you think. Give them bug reports if any. As a modder, it's very important we need bug reports, as long as they're actually, proper bug reports.
Yeah. Yes, please.
And what about you, Daemonforge? Anything you want to shout out this week?
I really don't even know right now. Yeah, no, I think I'm good. I thought about what I was going to shout out this week, and I was actually going to try to do a self plug with my Universal API mod. I already got that in already, so I've been having a lot of fun on X2K. Like last weekend, I guess it was last weekend.
Yeah.
When they had the beta and stuff like that. So maybe I'll shout you guys out. It was really a lot of fun. I had a blast going through. Took me a little while to find out how to escape or get out of the zone. Lad helped me out there.
Yes, trust me, there's a lot more coming. And if you want to help out, the position's always there.
Okay. Yes.
Awesome. I want to quickly just show everyone, because we had a few people mention it, but a great way that you can support the store, the show, is our merch store. We've got a number of different items there, including the cap that I'm wearing right now, the mug that I have my copy from every bloody podcast, and the mouse pad, I ordered one of them just to see what it looks like. They're small ones like you would have on a work computer or something like that. So definitely not gamer mouse pads. But we've got a few things on there, so definitely check it out if you're interested. I saw Ike purchased the white T-shirt before. His message was, let me just bring it up again, I'll look sexy as fuck wearing nothing but my DayZ podcast T-shirt. Prove it. Prove it, motherfucker. Prove it.
Love that.
But yeah, there's a link to the store, folks, if you want to grab something. I think we make about $4 on most of the items in there. So, yeah, it'll all go back into the show in one way, shape or form, and giveaways and our Patreon and all the rest of it. So, yeah. Daemonforge, thank you so much for coming along today, mate. It's been a damn good podcast. Well, I think we're hitting close to 4 hours this week. I'm surprised Marks hasn't fallen asleep on us yet.
I'm at the verge. I'm at the verge.
Yeah.
But no, a damn good podcast. Lad, Marks, thank you so much for being here again, as always. Like saying when he shares the photo, just remember it's chilly in here. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Thank you all so much. I had a great morning. I was quite hyped about this week. 1.14 is just going from strength to strength, as is DayZ. And there's not many games that can still be in the top 50 of concurrent players worldwide. I think it is 8 years after it was released. Longer if you count the mod. Hey.
Yeah.
Get your friends back onto it. There's a lot of people out there who haven't played DayZ in a long time. Try and talk them back into giving it a shot. Find out what sort of server they enjoy. Get them on. Who knows? But yeah, good things are coming. Good things are coming. And give us more fucking hints as well, Scotty. Fuck Hannah.
Yes. Fuck Hannah. Fucking bitch.
All the best, everyone. Mellow Waltz, you enjoy your hat that you won today, mate. Michael, Redshift, Ike, everyone else who supported or donated during the show, thank you so much. We will see you next week. Next week's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is, let me go through to my prospective guest list, Foxtrot. We've got a Foxtrot coming on.
Hey. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Looking forward to that one as well. And also, if you are interested, Saturday the 25th of September, players episode, so you don't need to be a content creator, a big name or anything like that to be on this show. We took the feedback on board, Marks, that, it's good to get just some regular players on. So if you are interested, join the Discord. Register your interest first in Best Dressed. Patreons obviously get preference, and members on the YouTube channel, and we can get you on the show just to talk about DayZ, because we want to hear from you as well, your opinions, because we talk about it. We're modders, we're content creators, we're fanboys of the game. It's good to hear from the average Joe every now and then as well, isn't it, Marks?
Yeah, definitely is. Yeah.
Okay. All the best, everyone, and we will see you next week. Marks, you said you're streaming Experimental tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be live at Experimental definitely tomorrow and probably more days during the week as well.
Excellent. And what about you, lad?
I might. Depends when I go to sleep tonight and when I wake up tomorrow. But
what's your channel again, mate? I think everyone knows Marks. What's yours again? Twitch.tv /
That lad.
That lad.
Yes.
I see a doggy. I see. Hey, what's the dog's name again?
Cloud.
No worries. Well, folks, all the best, and we will see you all next week. Daemonforge, thanks once again for coming on, buddy. Very excited with your API mod and your rating mod, mate. You're doing stuff that is opening the game up in a lot of different and exciting ways for people. So check out his workshop link, and everything will be in the description, as well as I will put a link to his PayPal if you want to slip him a $5 so he can buy himself a beer or a coffee or whatever. It helps justify to the missus why he spends so much time at his computer.
So much for having me on the podcast. It was great.
You're welcome, mate. All the best, and we'll see you all next week. Say bye-bye, everyone.
See you later.
And ciao for now.